I will call the regular meeting of the Irmo County Council to order, and I will recognize Councilwoman Cathy to lead to the pledge of allegiance and the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Lord, make us instruments of your peace tonight. Make us conciliatory as well as respectful. Give us the guidance we need to lead the town in the proper direction. And show us your mercy. Amen.
Amen.
Next item, is that good? Next item on the agenda is the reading of the minutes from December the 1st. Is there a motion for the minutes to be approved as written?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the minutes to be approved as written, do so show of hands. Next item is report administrative briefing. Mr. Brown.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, what, the minutes from the December 4th meeting, we don't have that available yet, or
No,
the special meeting minutes?
no, we don't have them ready yet. They'll be on the next agenda.
The next agenda? Okay.
Mr. Brown, anything you want to add on the administrative briefing?
Yes, sir. A couple things. I want to introduce Mr. Eric Hale here to my right. He is the town attorney. He was appointed last week. I also want to give you a heads up that Richmond County plans on raising their jail per diem fee for keeping prisoners over there in jail. We don't know what the increase is going to be yet. They had a meeting today, I think, right, Joe? Right. So we'll hear more about that later. Just want to give you a heads up. That may change our budget. You've all got in front of you an updated copy of the Orchestra Commission list. We've had people calling and writing and emailing wanting to be on the commission, so you've got all the names there for that. And if you would please add Mr. Clint Scoville to the Planning Commission list, he is requested to be on that.
Any questions, Mr. Brown?
Where's the planning commission list? I know I saw it.
It's in there somewhere, or Mrs. Condon, it would be on your iPad.
Thank you.
Yes.
But it's just one name extra.
Just one extra name. I think that now brings the total up to 7 for the one position that we have open in the Planning Commission.
I got another name from Mr. Anderson, Frank Anderson. Did you get that?
No, sir, I have not.
He sent me an email, I guess in lieu of the
And that's
town pool or whatever, so I want to include his name also. I'll send you a copy of that email.
That's fine. If council will just add his name for consideration when you all get to that item on the agenda, that'll be fine.
And
Frank Anderson.
next is to follow up with the flooding is anyone from DOT?
Yes, Mr. Walker asked for this to be on the agenda last meeting. I have contacted DOT and they are not able to be here tonight. Mr. Magwood has met with the property owners at 46 and 50 St. Albans Road. I don't know how that went. I also know that the Richmond County legal staff is talking to those homeowners. So, can't tell you the status because I haven't found out from them. But they are talking to them.
Did they say they're not coming to this meeting, or they couldn't make it?
Couldn't make it. Couldn't make it tonight.
Did they say that they were going to resolve that issue, or is it not their problem?
The legal department's working on it, so is Mr. Magwood.
The legal department's working on
At
it?
Richmond County, yes, sir.
Is this DOT or Richmond County now? Which one is it?
Well, it's DOT portion of Richmond County.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's DOT.
It's DOT on Fairfield Road. That's where their office
Yeah.
is. Mr. Magwood's in charge of our district, the
So
DOT.
the legal department from DOT is working on
The
this?
Richmond County one, yes. They have 2 legal departments.
Okay.
Richmond County, Lexington County, they probably got them all over the state for all I
I
know.
thought you meant Richmond County Council.
No,
Legal
sir.
department, okay.
No, it's the DOT section.
So you contacted them about the construction sidewalks, and Their legal department is working on it.
We sent them a letter, we sent them an email, and we also requested, I have not received any correspondence back from them, other than an email saying that they couldn't make it to the meeting.
Okay.
Did we let the people know on the street? Oh, there you are, thank you.
Mr. Roberts is back there, he can.
Okay.
Huh? Oh, Mr. Man, I'm sorry, I didn't see you back there. The two people that would be contacted from DOT is here. Do you mind if I ask them if they got anything for us?
That sounds fine. We can find out what they discussed with the legal department and also with the DOT folks.
Okay.
Mr. Rockwell, not Roberts.
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
thought it was
I know that you didn't know that.
Rockwell.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
I have met with the engineer when he came out there. He looked at both of her, back of her property on 50, met with the back of mine, and we discussed, they didn't know how they were gonna fix the drainage issue. They also sent out to me, I don't think that they've sent out to Rhonda yet. They sent out to me their construction person for their insurance company, and to find out if I had a claim against them, because I filed a claim against them to mitigate the loss that I had because of what they've done to me. I've contacted him, and he's still waiting to hear back from Richland DOT on the results. I've given them all of the pictures of my yard, her yard, and the different things to make an assumption of whether they're going to reimburse us or what they're going to offer us for our loss. We haven't heard.
Pretty much the same as what he said. I did get a call last week from someone from the engineering department telling me that the sidewalk was up for bid, that they were looking into making some change to the structure of the curb. And I asked them, what about the land formation where the water will come into the ditch? And he just laughed. So
He laughed?
He laughed. And I said, well, you know, it's not a funny thing from our standpoint. Today I sent a second copy of my claim to them, certified mail, so that someone has to sign for it, because I haven't heard anything from my claim at all.
If you go out and go down College Street and you look at where the extra fence goes up, and you look at how the road or the ground comes down, and it drops 2.5 foot from the sidewalk down, right at my yard, and and then you go down and it goes back up on the other side. So all of the water that comes down from CBS into College Street drops right at my yard. I used to get my neighbors, because it'd run off of hers down into mine, and I built a dike that drains out into my driveway now and drains out into the street. I've also built a dike in front of my fence in my yard that will drain it down on the side. But I mean, that's all money that I've spent that hopefully won't get my house flooded out again. But unless they fix that along our fence line and that berm, what they say will work, which doesn't work, we are going to get the same thing if we have 4.5 inches of rain, because 4.5 inches of rain flooded us the second time. It wasn't 20 inches, it was 4.5. So.
Well, we have an attorney, I think, tonight, so they're going to have their attorney look at it, we'll have ours look at it too.
Okay, and I can provide you all of the pictures. 'Cause I got all of them. I'm the one that took them at 6 o'clock in the morning with my umbrella.
I don't have the strength to build a dam. I just need some help so that we don't get flooded out.
I've got all of it for both of us.
Please understand, we're not trying to get involved with your personal loss and your materials, but if the sidewalk is constructed incorrectly, which I drive around Irmo and see all the sidewalks we built, every one of them's got curves and little drop-offs, and this one doesn't.
No.
So you can't tell me that this one's been built to standard or whatever, to specs, when I'm looking at curbs all around the town, and this one doesn't have one.
Even if they put in a curb, where it drops down into my property,
Right.
when it rains, it's just gonna come right down in there.
Well,
So, I don't know.
You just keep us updated.
Okay, we will.
They,
thank you.
Thank
they
you.
need to address the curb and the land that they dug out behind it, so,
Mhm.
thank
Next item on the agenda, any more questions, Mr. President? Next item on the agenda is amendments to the agenda. Is there any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have an amendment to the agenda. I'd like to take item N on our agenda and under new business and move it to item A under old business. Take it out of order and move it to item A under old business. This is something that I requested at the last meeting to be put on the agenda, and somehow it didn't get on the unfinished business.
Well, as far as amending to the agenda, based on that new information from the FOIA, that is for adding items to the agenda. This item is already on the agenda, so I don't believe that you can use the amendment to the agenda to move something. I think you'd have to do that through another process. That's for adding stuff to the agenda. And if we went that route, then you have to go through the same question and answer, which is basically going to boil down to 2/3 vote of members present and finding.
Right, we have to vote to have this item moved from, to be added as an amendment to the agenda. That's what I'm asking to be done.
Well, and that'd be my first question, is the final vote on the item, which is yes, and then it would require 2/3 vote of members.
Right, that's what I'm asking.
Finding of emergency and exigent circumstances to do so. So the next question would be, what is the emergency or exigent circumstances to move it?
Well, the first question is, you have to have a 2/3 vote of the council, and that's what we're waiting on.
You have to find the emergency exigent circumstance, and then you.
That's the second thing. The first thing is you have a 2/3 vote to even move it. That's for the amendment.
Well, we don't vote on it if there's no emergency or no exigent circumstance. So what is the emergency or exigent circumstance, and then we can vote.
Well, the circumstances that the result of that, moving that to unfinished business like I asked in the meeting, would directly impact some of the items on our agenda on the new business. So we need to get that ironed out the way first, and that's why I want to move it. So.
Well, I don't hear an emergency or an exigent circumstance to move that, so.
You just heard me say that move it because it would directly impact the items under new business.
I disagree, and I don't know that it will.
Well, that's fine, you disagree, let's vote on it.
Well, give me an emergency or an exigent circumstance, or do the proper way of moving stuff.
Okay, you said give me a circumstance, and I gave you two.
An emergency or exigent, which is basically
Exit what?
exigent.
Say it again, please.
You can
Exodus?
Exigent.
Exodus. So the circumstances that it will directly affect items that are on the new business.
There's a proper way of moving stuff on the agenda. If you would like to do that in the proper way, then you're welcome to do that.
What's the proper way? It's amendment to the agenda. That's not the proper way to move
So
stuff.
you want to ask me what the proper way is? Is that what?
Yeah.
The proper way would do what the ordinance says, is that you need to suspend the rules and then ask for something to be moved from one item to the next. Would you like to do that?
Okay, I want to suspend the rules and move item N from under the old business and move it to item A under unfinished business.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I think it affects under new business C and D. That's the only,
Absolutely.
you know, because that's what we did at the emergency meeting. And hired Mr. Hale.
Okay.
That's my thing.
Any more discussion? All in,
If we don't do it, how can we vote on new members if we don't need them?
can, well, you can, because we just ruled that we're not moving. And we'll carry on. All in favor then of suspending the rules and moving item N, new business, to item A, old business, do so with show of hands. All opposed? So that will stay. Any more amendments to the agenda? Next is consideration of communication. We have our auditor here from Highsmith and Highsmith to give us the results of the audit, which is required by law to be done on our year-end budget. So, Mr. Brown.
Go ahead. Okay. Mr. Mayor, Town Council, thank you for having me here this evening. It's a pleasure to meet with you a few minutes to talk about the audit of the town of Irmo for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2015. Let me say thanks to Mr. Brown and Ms. Stanley for helping us gather all the information and all the work that they put into getting us the information to perform the audit. The first part of the audit I'd like to touch base on is the first letter in the audited financial statement report, and it is the independent auditor's report. Okay? This report basically says that these financial statements are the responsibility of the town. Our responsibility is to conduct an audit and express an opinion on the financial statements based on our findings. And after we went through all the information and did all our test work and reviewed a lot of documents, it is our opinion that these financial statements are fairly presented. It's a clean opinion for the town of Irmo for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2015. On pages 3 through 8 is what we call the management's discussion and analysis. I'm not going to go through this report in detail, but I would encourage you to spend just a few minutes as it gives a lot of details about the current year activities for the town of Irmo. On page 9 is the statement of net position, what we call the balance sheet, basically. Our total assets and deferred outflows for the town of Irmo were $11,687,836. Our total liabilities and deferred inflows were $4,227,472. So we had a net position of $7,460,364. Looking at the balance sheet, just looking at the cash balance is the unrestricted cash portion that we have on the balance sheet is approximately 41% of your overall assets. So we're in a good cash position for the town. It equates to almost 90% of your expenditures for 1 year. The new thing on the balance sheet that is called GASB 68, Government Accounting Standards Board issued a new pronouncement that we had to implement during the fiscal year in June 30, 2015. And so basically what we had to do is we had to take the total pension liability for the South Carolina retirement system and record on your balance sheet your portion of it, according to a valuation report that they had performed by their independent auditors and valuation experts. And of that amount, about 2/3 of the way down the page is a line called net pension liability. And Irmo's share of the overall pension liability is $3,128,506. On page, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Is that what we put into their retirement account?
No, sir, that is what we considered is our liability. If something happened to the South Carolina retirement system and they required the town of Irmo to pay it, that's what our share would be to pay into the South Carolina retirement system. Okay, on page 10 is the statement of activities. And basically, I'm just going to talk about the total revenues and total expenses. Our total revenues were approximately 5.2 million. Our total expenses were approximately 5.4 million. So we had an overall decrease in our operations for the year of about $213,000. But taking into consideration that depreciation expense was $454,000, if you add that back, a non-cash expense, then it was a favorable year for the town of Irmo. Okay.
I had a question on the scope of the truck fund, business type activities on page 10.
Yes.
It says here that it's under expenses, it was, the brackets mean expenditure, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you said in the brackets of 158,331, and then the charges for services, you guys got 120,000.
That's the revenues
The revenues,
the
okay.
fund brought in.
So after all the smoke clears, it has a negative loss of 38,000?
Right. Expenditures exceeded revenues of $38,000 for the year.
And this is at, okay, that's June 2015.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So that was last year?
2014.
Yes, yes. Not this year.
Right. Okay. Just one other thing I want to touch base on in the report is on page 29, and it's the pension plan footnote. And this footnote used to be about a page long. Now I think it's about 6 pages long after GASB 68 implementation. I'm not going to stand here and read it to you, but just if you want to know more about the pension and how it's being operated now, there's a lot more detail in this report, in this footnote, and it explains the net pension liability and the town's responsibilities. Okay?
Let me ask one question on that liability. You're saying that if the state ever wanted that money, could come back and tell us to give it to them?
Worst case scenario, the South Carolina retirement system goes under, basically. Then that would be the town's share that they would have to put into it to meet any shortfall that they had. I'm not sure what the chances or likelihood of that happening is. I mean, the South Carolina retirement system and the police officers' retirement system is a huge operation, as we all know. So,
And that will change year to year?
Year to year.
How many employees are based on?
It's based on,
and all that stuff and everything?
right, it's based on the valuation that is being performed of the South Carolina retirement system's portfolios.
Based on their fund, not necessarily how many people or
Right.
whatever we have.
Yours is based on, as far as what the town has to contribute per employee, is based on per employee. But the way that the fund is now being valued, it's called pension expense instead of employer contributions. And that pension expense is based on several different factors. How did the investments do for the year? And how much did the town contribute to the plan? So you have to take all those calculations to determine what the difference is in the net pension liability from year to year. And that's something that South Carolina retirement system will give us each year. Okay. The other report I gave you guys is just our report to town council to let you know about how our dealings with management went. We didn't have any disagreements with them. They provided all the information in a very timely manner. We didn't use any outside accountants in performing this audit, and they did sign the management representation letter for us saying that they gave us everything we asked for. Okay? Any other questions?
I just got this about 2 seconds ago, so I reserve the right to call you and ask you some detailed questions.
I was going to tell you, if you have any questions during the year.
Clock running for charges, okay?
No, sir. We're on a contract basis, so
Okay,
so there's no additional charges.
okay, great.
So, but yeah, if anytime during the year you guys have questions or want to discuss the audit in more detail, please feel free to give me a call. Mr. Brown has my email and my phone number, so you guys can call me at any time.
Did you make any recommendations for changes of any type, or improvements, or?
No, ma'am, we really didn't. After looking at all the procedures and what we call the internal controls, it is a limited staff, so we do ask you guys to review the monthly financials like we discussed in the past, and compare that to the budget to see how we're operating against our budget. So, but we've got enough internal controls where we feel good that we are safeguarding our assets to the best of our ability. Okay.
And Mr. Brown, this one that's in our package is the same as
Yes.
You get the same thing,
this
right?
one?
Yes,
Big one.
yes, sir.
Okay.
There's a photocopy. This is
Mhm.
a dressed up version.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Next is a Mr. William Green, to give us an update on the Monarch Butterfly Project. Do I need to move?
Yeah. Looks like a bumblebee, doesn't it?
That's a yellow jacket,
Oh, yeah.
or like
Making sure. Making sure.
yellow jacket.
It's not a yellow jacket.
See how fierce he is?
It's not a bumblebee.
Hi, my name is Will Bergen. I'm from the International Academic Magnet at Irmo Middle School. We are here to tell you about our continuation of last year's learning expedition project, Monarchs and Milkweed. A few things that you should know about Irmo is we have an excellent history of report cards. We've been one of the highest performing middle schools in South Carolina. The website Niche has recently ranked us number 7 middle school in South Carolina. We offer a wide range of high school credit courses as well as many elective courses. We are an international academic magnet school and also an expeditionary learning school. As an international academic magnet, we have normal curriculum based on state standards along with the chance to explore the world and make global connections. The Monarchs and Milkweed expedition allows students to make connections and learn about other locations, including routes in Mexico and Canada.
We take regular classes like math, science, English, and others. We also require students to address a problem and take action on local and global issues. Students in EL schools do work that matters. Our science classes have been working on an EL expedition about monarch butterflies. Over 100 students have been participating in this year in some way. And here are some pictures.
Due to the overuse of pesticides and herbicides, milkweed habitats, the monarch butterfly's main food source, have dramatically decreased. Several studies estimate that we've lost as much as 21% of milkweed habitats between 1995 and 2013. As you can see in these graphics, it shows the amount of forest area covered by monarchs have dramatically decreased. Our work matters because all living things are interconnected. Also, monarchs are pollinators. As humans, we rely on pollinators in the production of some of our foods. No milkweed, no monarchs, we lose some food. There are many holes in the data from the East Coast. Tagging individual monarchs helps fill in the scientific data. If we catch a monarch in the school garden or at our home garden, we tag them at school and then release them.
Our Monarch and Milkweed project focuses on both the butterfly and the food source milkweed. Milkweed is the only plant that the monarch will lay their eggs on. Milkweed is the primary food source for the monarchs. Caterpillars eat leaves for food and the adults drink the nectar. We will grow milkweed in the classroom and in our school's greenhouse. We have learned that it's much easier to grow milkweed in the greenhouse rather than the classroom because it's easier to maintain temperature and humidity in the greenhouse. This past May, we were able to organize 2 screenings of the movie Flight of the Butterflies. One screening was a field trip for schools during the day. Elementary, middle, and high school students all joined together to watch the movie. The second screening was in the evening and open to the public. Overall, over 500 people in the Irmo community saw the film and were educated about the issue of the monarch. Also, last year, students designed a poster to educate the community. The posters feature a QR code to direct people to our website to learn more. These signs were printed and posted around the community. We especially targeted plant nurseries and town of Irmo facilities. We also raised community awareness by attaching small versions of the posters to packets of milkweed seeds. We gave away these seeds to all that attended the movie and to the people who brought plants from our school's tent at the Irmo Farmers Market. As you can see, you helped us raise awareness by posting our signs in a variety of locations. Thank you so much for all your support.
In May, we had a dedication ceremony for our gardens for our gardens as last year's groups of students broke ground in the garden area. You can see a couple of pictures of the event here. We would like to thank the mayor for his support by coming out to our garden dedication ceremony. After the dedication ceremony, we worked hard to get our garden going. Math classes made measurements and came up with different designs for the garden area. Then we added posts that we could use to put signs up. Here you see our educational signs that we put on the post, and a great volunteer helping us by lifting the grass in the garden area. Then students prepared the seed bed, distributed seeds, and watered the seeds so that we would have a better chance to germinate. Then came the summer. If you remember, we had nearly zero rainfall during the summer. That put our garden at a real disadvantage. And the milkweed struggled to sprout through the cracks in the dry soil. Then came the fall. This brought lots of rain and a huge flood. Needless to say, our garden has really had to endure a lot of weather issues.
Our science classes this year started off the year by doing an informational reading and research on the global monarch issue. They did many scientific investigations using milkweed seeds. Sadly, we only tagged 3 monarchs during peak migration season, and we think this happened because of the major flood in the fall, and also that our garden is just a baby and it's growing and developing. We harvested seeds from the milkweed planted in the spring. Lastly, we worked in the garden to add more milkweed and other plants that attract butterflies.
In the summer, USC students and Irmo Middle School students came in took a day to fix up the garden, pull the grasses.
Despite all of our weather issues, we have a garden now. Right now it looks like a garden would during the winter time. But it's complete with signs and some milkweed that was successful. It will come back during the spring to attract more monarchs.
Our current garden has won many awards, including one from USC and one from Monarch Watch. It is nice to see our hard work is appreciated. We don't just do this work in science class. In math class, students have analyzed data and done scaled distance calculations of Canada, the US, and Mexico. In social studies, we mapped monarch migration patterns, and in art, we did a week-long study of monarchs resulting in paintings.
In Irmo's future, we plan to continue to expand out and improve our garden to be the largest single plot of milkweed in South Carolina. We will continue to add other pollinator and attractor plants to the garden. We want to continue measuring and graphing the growth of the milkweed plants. We will continue to capture and tag monarchs in our garden and homes. We will continue to educate the community through distribution of our announcement posters. In the spring, we will sell milkweed at the Irmo's Farmers Market. Without the help of our support and sponsors, we could not accomplish our goals. We are fortunate to have great partnership and support from lots of volunteers. We are especially thankful for our partnership with the town of Irmo. These pictures should look familiar. The one on the left is a picture of a caterpillar eating the leaves of the milkweed in the Irmo Park. On the right, you see a picture of a chrysalis in one of the playhouses near the pond. In the middle is a bed of milkweed, but as you can see, there is no leaves. All the caterpillars and monarchs have used it all. This is a good showing that we need to plant more.
Here you see some ways the town of Irmo can continue to help us with our work. Help us by encouraging citizens to plant native milkweed and to reduce activities that destroy milkweed. You can also help us get children outside more. We would love for you to plant more native milkweed at the parks and other town areas. We would even love to give the plants to you and help with the planting. Finally, we think that education is extremely important. We challenge the town to put signs up in flower beds where milkweed is growing to educate people on the importance of the milkweed and the issues of the monarchs. We pledge to help with those signs by coming up with a design and text that will go on them. The signs would be a great opportunity to advertise our partnership. Since Irmo is in the migration pattern of the monarch, we believe that milkweed can become a significant part of Irmo's identity, second only to okra.
We want to say thank you again for allowing us to share our project. This opportunity to present our work to you is invaluable.
Yes. My name is Mr. Green. I am a fortunate teacher entrusted with these students this year. I brought a different group last year, and we started this, and they mentioned that we are an EL school, and part of that is that they don't just learn in regular classes, but they also are encouraged and challenged to go out and work on real issues that matter. And hopefully the passion in these kids came out tonight because they are very passionate about monarchs and milkweed and doing something that makes a difference in this community and globally. And these kids were excited to be able to share that. In addition to that, they are, part of EL is that they should present in a real setting to a real audience, not just in the classroom to their classmates. And you guys have afforded them the opportunity to do that. And so we are just grateful that they have this kind of opportunity. This experience is invaluable to them as learners and as the future of Irmo. So it's very important to us. So I want to thank you. I want to thank the Town of Irmo employees. Whit Klein has worked with us over the last year, and we've talked about the milkweed bed in the community park. And so that's been great. I want to thank the folks from my school that came out to support, and also the parents that brought these kids out and have let them practice over the last few days so much. So again, thank you, and we look forward to talking to you in the next semester about these things that they brought up in ways that we can work together.
Thank you.
We got milkweed plants in our community park, and it didn't do so good. Is that what happened?
They gave us some plants and we planted them. That's what we're gonna put.
Oh, it didn't.
And then the caterpillars ate them up, and they ran out of milkweed, and so we could use more. So that garden was filled with caterpillars. That's a good thing, yeah. And they turn into adult monarchs, and they're the ones that we're trying to get the populations up. So yeah.
Do we need more real estate for them?
We would love to be able to provide more plants. If you guys would put them in more Town of Irmo real estate, that's one of our hopes that you guys would be able to help us with. So yes.
I think we should do that.
I agree.
item is Mr. Shepherd from the Municipal Association.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
Hope y'all are doing well, and I really appreciate this opportunity to speak at the meeting, although that's an extremely difficult act to follow. But thank you anyway. My name is Jeff Shacker. Again, I'm a field services manager with the Municipal Association of South Carolina. MASC, which is our acronym, is a nonprofit organization that was formed in the 1930s by cities who recognized the benefit of coming together to establish one voice in the General Assembly, in the state legislature, to lobby on behalf of cities where there were common interests. And so the association was formed back in the 30s for that purpose, but has grown tremendously. We've grown to a staff of a little over 50 and are active in the areas of advocacy and communication, which is our lobbying area, education and training. We have 3 training institutes, the Municipal Elected Officials Institute, an advanced curriculum for municipal elected officials that graduate MEO, and then one for clerks and treasurers too, because you'll find that state law requires that every city have a municipal clerk, and in many cities that don't have a professional manager or administrator, the clerk is very much the quarterback. So we provide training, specialized training for municipal clerks and treasurers. We also have 11 affiliate entities or associations that provide training for certain disciplines. We have a group for instance, finance officer, clerks and treasurers, business license officials, municipal attorneys, and a large number of other groups too. So we provide some specialized training there. And then our third major area that we work in are some of our shared solution programs. For example, there are a few difficult taxes to collect at the municipal level that the association provides collection programs for. The town of Irmo participates in our self-funded risk pools for property and casualty insurance and for workers' compensation. Those were programs that were established in '86 and in '90 respectively. And then we also have a set-off debt collection program where when you have debts that have not been collectible or bad debts, the association will assist in doing an income tax refund offset to recover some of that money. So the association's got a number of programs that I think could be beneficial to y'all. There were 2 that I wanted to highlight tonight since we've got 2 new members. And first, before I go any further, I want to make sure that y'all have a packet of information that I left for you. Much of the information that I just glossed over very briefly and that I'm about to talk about in more detail is in that packet, so you've probably seen that. The first thing that I wanted to mention to you are some upcoming training and events that you may want to mark down on your calendar. The first is our annual Hometown Legislative Action Day. That's the association's winter meeting. It's held every year at the Marriott Hotel on Main Street, and the purpose of the meeting is to not only provide education, but to roll out our advocacy initiatives for the coming session, to also provide an environment where you have an opportunity to interact with your legislative delegation, your House and Senate members, after you've been fully briefed on the priorities for next session. So it's an invaluable meeting. I would encourage you all to attend. Again, the date of that meeting is February 3rd at the Marriott Hotel. It's an all-day meeting. Preceding that, on Groundhog Day, on February 2nd, is an offering of Session A and Session B of our Municipal Elected Officials Institute for Government. With our new members, y'all would begin the program with Session A, and they'll be offered concurrently. So if Barry, if you or Miss Kathy, if y'all have completed A, Session B will be offered at that same time, and you could take it. Session A will consist of a class on human resources, city as an employer, conducting effective meetings. You know, we had some discussion earlier in the meeting about rules of procedure and the process for amending agendas. Those are some topics that will be discussed in that session. Visioning and strategic planning, that's actually a session that I do. with the city manager of Rock Hill. They've done an excellent job with goal setting and transparency, communicating those goals to the public through their website. We'll do a session on it. And then an overview of local government planning and zoning. I'm sure that y'all often deal with planning and zoning issues in your council meetings. So that's what session A will consist of. You'll also have opportunities later in the year to take our budgeting course, a course on FOIA, economic development, governance and policy, and forms of government. Those sessions, and you'll be getting information from us on that, will be offered during the year at the Central Midlands Council of Governments. You can go to their office and watch a telecast of those sessions. And I actually participate in the governance and public policy and forms of government one, so you'll see me, unfortunately. But we offer those sessions live through a telecast from ETV, and actually have moved to a DVD now. Or you can take the courses online. We've got an on-demand system that if you're not able to go to the COG and take the courses, I think you'll very much enjoy taking those courses on your own time, in the comfort of your own home or here at Town Hall with an internet connection. So those training programs are really important. The other thing I wanted to mention to you is our annual meeting, which is our largest event of the year. It's a multi-day conference. It'll be offered on July 14th through the 17th at the Charleston Place Hotel in downtown Charleston. The agenda has not been finalized for that, but please be on the lookout for that, and we'll always push information to y'all well in advance of that meeting. And I think you'll find it really beneficial. In addition to the education, it's a great opportunity to interact with other council members and mayors and talk about some of the issues and problems that you face that are in common, and some solutions that they may have identified or that you may have that you can share with them. So it's a very valuable meeting. The other thing I wanted to mention to you this evening, and I know you've got a full agenda, is our legislative priorities for the upcoming session. And these are some important broad issues that you'll be learning a little bit more about on February 3rd at the Marriott. But one of our most significant issues this year will be, and you may have followed it in the last session, is business licensing. And what we've been working on for the past few months is, and did this collaboratively with the State Chamber, with certain members of the House and Senate, the National Federation of Independent Businesses, the General Contractors and Home Builders Associations, is streamlining the business licensing process. So that's been the focus. You'll get a lot of the details on February 3rd, but I wanted to make you aware of that priority. And we've got some resources on the web you may want to consult. Funding services. Funding municipal government is always a challenge because the cost of running a city continues to increase. The local government fund is a priority. That's money that's shared by the state of South Carolina with cities and counties. Finding a consistent and fair formula for that is something that we're pushing. Adequate funding for indigent defense is an issue, as is accessing some state and federal grant programs that we're going to provide some training on. Some of our other priorities are embracing the sharing economy. You probably heard a lot about Uber, Airbnb.
Mr. Mayor and Council, my name is Harvey Hoots. I reside at 130 Bolters Lock Road, and I think it's important to make it known that is next door to Mr. Waits. I come to you tonight to speak on items F and G, the first reading of ordinance 1515 and 1516. Both of these ordinances deal with motorhomes. I think that it's well known that myself and Mr. Waits have had a difference of opinion about the motorhome situation, my motorhome situation, and it actually became an issue that was mentioned during the elections. But my biggest point is that there is an ongoing lawsuit that Mr. Waits has brought against me, and for that reason, that lawsuit actually prays for some monetary findings that I think that if Mr. Waits were to bring these items up, discuss these items in any manner that would attempt to influence the council or vote on either one of these, it would be a definite ethics violation. I have been to the Ethics Commission, and I would request that Mr. Waits recuse himself from voting on either one of these items. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none. Next item, for no unfinished business, next item will be new business. Item A is an approval of a mutual aid agreement between Irmo Police Department and Lakeland County Health Services District. Is there a motion for approval? So moved. And a second?
A second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? And just for the record, we as a town, whenever there is, I guess, a new election or something to that effect, is why we're doing this one here. I guess we'll do more of them as they come to us.
Well, it has to be signed by the mayor, and we didn't know if you're going to get reelected, so we waited till.
Oh, okay. Okay. And this is more of a, I'll say, administrative duty type thing. We just have to do these things periodically. So all in favor then of the mutual aid agreement, do so with show of hands. Next item is an approval of resolution 1503 to authorize certain municipal officials to conduct banking business. This is something that the bank requires a resolution to be signed that has names on it so they can do cards and everything. Is there approval for this resolution 1503? Approval? A motion for approval?
I'll make a motion.
And a second?
I'll move second.
And again, this is something the bank requires. It actually has, and if I am correct, the bank just needs 2 names. We put 4 on there. We put 2 staff members, which is the town administrator and also the municipal clerk. And then as far as we put 2 council members, and one is the mayor and one is Kathy, Councilman Kathy Conlon. So we have 2 on there. In case if me or Kathy are out of town or whatever, then Kim and Bob can do that. And I think that's pretty much standard for the last 10 years. So is there any discussion?
You said there's 2 required and you had 4 names on it?
Yeah.
And we used to have just Councilwoman Condon on there and the Robert Brown and Kim Stanley, is that correct? So what's the need for the 3rd name? I don't understand that.
Well, we used to, as far as previous administrations, it's always been the mayor and one other council member and then 2 staff members on there. If y'all remember, I think 4 years ago, there was a disagreement about me not signing a check that hadn't been approved by the council, and some people got upset and took me off the check signing thing. I think it's appropriate that the mayor is the person on there, and one other council member, and also 2 staff, which is what was done for the past previous administrations, the Mayor Furman Younger and John Higgins and everybody else. So it's basically just going back to the way it used to be and always has been.
John Gibbons trained me.
Yeah, you don't want to do it anymore? You don't want to do it anymore?
You want to still do it?
You want to continue doing it, is what I'm asking.
If we'll have a backup system.
Yeah, okay, so you come first and then the mayor comes second.
I think we're going to do it together.
Well, not necessarily at the same time.
No, I'm going to do it at the same time. So you learn how to do it.
Yeah.
So So the mayor will be your backup, basically, if you're not around.
Or I'll be his, whatever, we'll decide, but
And then,
Well, it has to be one person, you can't have two people signing
he and I
checks.
can sign.
well, the bank requires to.
Well, you do, you have two, you got Bob Brown and Kim Stanley as well as Mrs. Conlon, that's three. So what I'm saying is, I don't want there to be any confusion
No, we worked it out.
with who signed what and who did what and that kind of thing. So, I mean, if you,
We're each gonna see everything.
I don't mind if he sees it, but I want to make sure that
It's fine.
you're the one that signs it, and then if you're not around, then he signs it.
I gotta have hand surgery,
Okay.
so I need, someone to help.
Okay.
And he likes to see things, so Lord knows we have no secrets.
So,
We're transparent.
As far as I know.
all in favor then of the approval of resolution 1503?
You call the roll, please.
If you want to, we can.
I just asked for it.
Hands, and
I just asked for it.
I vote to approve.
All right. Will you call the roll, please?
That's what I'm doing.
I vote for it.
I don't hear you call the names of the people.
And, so do you want to vote?
I vote in favor.
And yourself?
I vote no.
Okay. And I still vote yea, so it's 4-1, approved. Next item is the appointments to the Irmo Planning Commission. And I think you mentioned there was one other name, Cross.
Yes, Mr. Clint Scoville, we added to the
Clint.
list.
Go.
And Mr. Walker added Frank and.
Frank
Yes.
Anderson.
Okay, Clint, who?
Scoville.
Okay,
He is, Amber Ridge Trail. He's in town resident.
and who did marry you?
Frank Walker.
Frank Anderson, he sent me an email, I sent it to Bob. I believe he sent it today, yeah. Trying to see where he lives at. Frank, are you here tonight, Frank? No, I don't see him here, so.
We only have one opening.
Yeah, we have one. I think.
Well, we have one opening, but we have a talent pool, right? So
Yeah.
even the people that don't
Yeah, we have
get appointed,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
We have a lot of people
We have-
that we usually don't have this luxury.
So, we'll open the floor to nominations. Anybody can nominate anybody. They don't require a second. And as we said the last time, you can vote for multiple people if you choose to. Just technically by that thing. So, I'll open the floor for nominations. Any?
I nominate Clint Scoville.
Does he live in town or?
Yeah, he lives in town.
Okay.
And he's actually he's a member of the DOT too, so it might be good in the future, close
I
future.
understand.
Any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate David Logston, and his name is misspelled, and it's S between the G and the D.
David Law, okay.
And some of these people on here, if you read their application, said they were willing to serve on the planning commission.
Oh, that's it, okay. That's that big packet we got.
Do we need to nominate each one or?
Just nominate anybody, any council member can make a nomination, and then once the nominations are approved, then we start voting.
Okay.
We have 2 nominations right now, Clint Scoville and David Lockton. Any other?
And Frank Anderson.
No, I didn't nominate Frank, that's his name in the talent pool.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying he wants to be on, he sent an email that he would like to be on the planning commission.
Okay.
And we will vote on each name, and then if there's a tie, we'll do what we did last time, keep voting. If not, then after we vote on each name. The first one up is Clint Scoville. All in favor, do so with show of hands. The next one is David Loxton. All in favor, do so with show of hands. So David got 4.
How do you get 4?
I think it was 1, 2,
I
3.
voted for him.
Oh, okay.
So he will be placed on our planning commission. I guess Mr. Brandon will send him the stuff, and I don't know.
We could go down the whole list.
We just make nominations.
We'll vote all the way down to these people.
These are just people that get appointed, and he would just make nominations off of that. And anybody can make other nominations too, like Ms. Brown. Next one is, trying to get to that, the appointments of the Open Truck Commission, and we have, I think it's 5. I think there is 5 openings, and there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that correct, or did you give us?
8.
Yeah, this new sheet. Yeah, okay, that's the one thing.
Yes, and Mrs. Fulcher wants to be in a non-voting position, so.
Oh, okay,
That'd be good.
Okay, yeah. And what we would do, since we have 5 seats, is we will go in the order that Mr. Brown was notified, or we were notified, or whatever. So this
Mr. Mayor, point of order.
your point?
You recognize me?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, since we had that special meeting on the 4th of December, that meeting in its entirety was not appropriately done. South Carolina Freedom of Information Act, Section 30-4-70, subsection A1, says specifically we cannot go into executive session to discuss private employment, to personnel matters, and we can only go into executive session to discuss employment. Since these commissioners are not employees of the town, and they were appointed for a certain length of time, they cannot be removed without a public hearing. In other words, they can't be removed without, a discussion in public, and they can't be gone in public into a private meeting to do that. So subsequently, that action we did last week, or on the 4th, was invalid, and the commissioners should not have been dismissed in private. It should have been discussed and dismissed in public. Again, this is from, we adopted South Carolina Freedom of Information Act as when we conduct business, and that is section 30-4-70 of the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act.
Yeah, I got it right here. Let me read this, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Section 3470, item A.
Subsection A1, right?
Says discussion of employment, of an appointment, of compensation, of promotion, of demotion, of discipline, or release of an employee, a student, or a person regulated by a public body, or the appointment of a person to a public body. However, if an adversarial hearing, which we have not had, involving the employee or client is held, the employee or client has the right to demand that hearing be conducted publicly. We have not had an adversarial hearing. All we had was a discussion during executive session.
But the key thing there is that they're employees. These are not employees. They're not personnel.
It says right here, discussion of employment, discussion of appointment, discussion of compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, release of an employee, or a person regulated by a public body, which any appointment is regulated by a public body.
But these are not employees. You don't compensate.
It doesn't only include employees. It includes appointments, employees, anybody regulated under an appointment or a public body. So that is not applicable because it does cover everyone who is appointed. And by the way,
It says, Mayor, it says right here, discussion of employment, appointment, and compensation. In other words, we can go into executive session to discuss the appointment of the people, but we can't go into executive session to discuss the dismissal of people. That has to be done it says right there.
we can discuss anything that has to do with somebody's performance.
If they were employees, if they're
employees.
employees.
Well, in executive session, we just have to vote when we come back out, which we did. The vote was in public, and that's what's required by law. You're not required to discuss somebody's performance in public, and in fact, most people would tell you not to do that. So, you made your point.
The key is employment, employees, and these are not employees. We don't compensate them for any matter at all. So you can't go into executive session.
That's your opinion.
According, stop putting up Freedom of Information Act.
I just read it. But, here's the thing. You made your point. I done a ruling. I just ruled. If you want to attest that, you can attest that. We'll do a vote. Is that what you'd like to do?
Why don't we ask our lawyer?
If you want to, but right there it says. But let's just see first, do you want to attest that?
Let's ask our lawyer.
I'm going to ask again, do you want to attest that?
Attest what?
Do you want to attest my ruling?
Yeah, I'm asking
Okay,
the lawyer for
he's
opinion.
attested, no, you didn't, I'm gonna ask you one thing, you get to attest my ruling or not.
Okay, you wanna actually
Go by Robert's rules or go by the thing, so we'll do it, what it says do it. Are you going to attest my ruling or not?
I want to find out what the interpretation of the ordinance
Then you can.
30-40-70, which is what we follow under.
I just made a ruling, the ruling will stand unless you're going to attest it. If you're not, we're going to move on.
Okay, I'll test it.
All right. So he's attested the ruling, which means we'll vote on that. We're
We
ready to
still
vote.
not gonna hear from the lawyer. Why did we hire the man?
We hired the man to do what we asked him to do, but this is not something council has asked him to do. This is something one person's asked him to do. I'm not going to sit here and spend all night letting somebody run a meeting. We have things that we need to do and take care of. It's in Robert's rules. It tells how to do it. You just got to abide by it. Go by it.
Does, except I'm not sure appointments don't mean monetary appointments.
Absolutely it
Appointments
does.
of people that are contract, I'm not sure.
Y'all have plenty of time before this meeting to call up any attorney you want to and do what you want to do. So, are we ready to vote? The question is, are we ready? Are we?
What's the word voting on?
We're voting on my ruling. The ruling is that this says we don't have to, or that we're in fine. It's an appointment. We discussed an appointment. So, you made your point.
Wait a minute, your ruling is that that Freedom of Information Act, section 30-40-70, subsection A1, does include commissioners. Is that what your ruling is? Or does not include commissioners?
It includes.
Because we're talking about commissioners that we appoint for a certain length of time.
Appointments, which any appointment is the same thing as non-appointment. When you're discussing someone's appointment to an office, someone's service to an office, you're discussing.
I'm talking about commissioners. Are you saying that it does include commissioners or it does not?
Appointed office, yes.
So you're saying that this does include commissioners?
Yes, they're an appointed office.
They're appointed, but they're only appointed for a certain length of time.
It don't matter, they're appointed.
Sure it does. They're appointed for a certain length of time.
I'm not gonna sit here and argue. You can go hire your attorney and do what you wanna do.
I'm asking you a question. What is your rule? What are we voting on? Are we voting on whether it does or it doesn't?
I ruled we could, that's what we're voting on.
That we could what? That we could?
We can do what we're gonna do here. So,
what I'm asking you, Mr. Mayor, is to be specific of what we're voting on. Are we voting on that this section is applicable to commissioners or is not applicable to commissioners? As simple as yes or no.
You made a point of order, am I correct, that we cannot
I'm waiting
vote
for the answer to what we're voting on.
based on that? I ruled on that and said, yes, we can. We tested it, and now we're gonna have a vote of council that yes, we can vote people into the Oakstruck Commission based on that right there. Has to do with appointments, and we went into an executive session to discuss appointments. We came out and voted on it, and we did it the way the law said to do it.
And we can do that to commissioners, and we can't do that to...
You've already made your point.
Is that a yes or no? I'm just asking, is that a yes or no?
You've already made your point, and I'm not gonna get into a word game with you. I'm ready
Well, you
to
have to
go.
get into a word game with me. I'm asking you specifically what we're doing.
I'm gonna call you out of order because we're ready to vote. Now, is everybody ready to vote? Any more discussion?
I'm trying to discuss the issue with you. You're talking about order. How can that be?
You're gonna give them one time to speak, and you've already spoken. We're not gonna keep debating the same issue. All in favor then of my ruling, which says...
Call the roll, please.
All in favor of my ruling that says what we did at whatever meeting was done appropriate to section 30, 40, 70, and it was done according to law, and that we're fine, and that we're ready to move forward and vote on these points here. All in favor of that, show a hand.
You call the roll, please.
I think you can very much easily say.
You call the roll, please.
It's fine.
Now,
I'm voting yes.
well, go ahead and call the roll, then I want to address that. Marcus?
Yes.
Kathy? No. Julie?
Yes.
Walker?
No.
Keen? Yes. You can take the Robert Rules book, go back.
Are we discussing it again? So I asked for an opinion from our attorney if we were discussing this. I want an opinion from our attorney whether it's legal.
Making dilatory motions, which this is one, when...
So I can't discuss it, I can't ask our attorney that we're paying $200 an hour for an opinion?
When I ask for a show of hands, and everybody shows a hand, then it's very evident how people have voted. The roll call is kind of redundant. But anyway, we're at the point of appointment to the Orchestra Commission. And as I said, there are 5 vacancies, actually 4 and possibly 1. We're going to do them in the order that they became vacant. And Nanette Butler's was the first. Her term expired January 2017. So, out of these 8 people, we'll take nominations, and we'll do it for this term. We'll nominate that one, vote on that one. Then we'll go to the next seat, take nominations, vote on that, and kind of do them in the order that they were vacated. So any nomination to this first term that ends January 2017.
I'd like to nominate 2 people. I'll start with one. Kathy Campbell, I believe, is the Women's Club. That's their nominee, am I right?
Yes. She
Okay.
yes, requested reappointment.
Okay, with, she requested reappointment. Okay, with losing experience on this commission, I think it's important that we have someone with experience, which she has. She has sweat experience as well as academic experience, and I think it's important that we reappoint her and have some continuity from one year to the next.
And the other person?
The other person is my next door neighbor, is Greg Roberts, who expressed...
Nominating him to the same seat?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, this would be just to the one seat.
Yes.
Okay. So any other nominations for the January 2017 term?
Yes. I nominate Leslie Bowman.
Any other nominations? Seeing no more nominations, all in favor of Kathy Campbell, do so with show of hands.
Fair, did you vote?
Yeah, I'm not sure this is a legal vote, but yeah, that's fine.
So how many, go back again, there was 3. 1,
2, 3.
2, 3. And then for Leslie Bowman, do so with show of hands. So Kathy Campbell will be on the January 2017 seat. Then the next one is Kathy Little. That one expired January 2018. Any nomination? And one thing I'm going to make a suggestion here is we have one seat that expired January 17th. This one expires the 18th. the next one's the 18th, and 2 the 19th. James Mack expires on the 18th, and Heather Hardy expires on the 18th. And doesn't our thing say that there should be no more than 3?
We normally stagger them, yes.
So we would have actually 1, 2, 3, 4. If we change this seat to 2017, then we won't have but 3 in 17, 3 in 18, and 3 in 19.
Right.
So we're going to make this one expire January the 17th. So those will be only 3 coming off in a year instead of having 4 come off in a year, 2 the next work. So any nominations for that seat?
I'd like to nominate Leslie Bowman.
Any other nominations?
Anybody else on that list?
Yeah, I have another one. I'd like to nominate Larry Slaughter. For the same reason I nominated Ms. Campbell. Larry has worked on the Overstruck Commission before, and tirelessly, and he called me this morning, and I think he called several of us this morning, and he said he wanted to come back and be involved in it, and I think your expertise was the parking lot before the parade, is that right? Which I don't think anybody else in town wants to do. He's the only one I have ever known that would, and Bob Janeski said no more. So Mr. Slaughter would be in charge of the parade, which, if I had a gold piece of okra, I would give it to you.
And I will make a comment too. I will vote for Larry Slaughter at one of these other January 19th, since they're longer, and I would put somebody on with experience at one of these longer terms. That would be my only reason for.
So this is, well, why don't we say it and then vote longer?
Well,
if you do it in parking, nobody else
Because
wants
we
to
have
do
to
the
go
parking.
in order, we really have to go in order.
But you can remove your nomination and
I'll
say.
remove my nomination, I'll do it again.
So, we've got one nomination anymore?
What's that other name?
Scott Sheehan?
Yeah. Point of information there, with our attorneys, if this is found to be illegal, I mean, how far are we gonna go with this before we get a ruling on this?
Well, basically, the only way it's going to be found illegal is if you or somebody else takes it to court and the court determines that. So you'd be open to that suggestion?
Is that what you're finding, Eric?
Yes, that would be accurate. There would be no vehicle for determining whether the actions were legal or illegal unless a action was brought probably in the circuit court for Richland County to determine the legality of those actions. Much like the FOIA case that the mayor was referring to earlier was one such legal action like that, challenging the actions that were taken. So yes, you would need to bring a legal action to determine that.
In Richland County or Lexington County?
I always have a quite difficult time following the line in Irmo as to where it goes from Lexington to Richland. I know it falls right about where we're sitting at some points in time.
Right.
I believe where we sit at this moment in time is Lexington.
Okay. So again, all these votes can be basically thrown out because it's not legal.
No, it's not answer to determine that it's not legal.
The court would have to determine that.
So we're gonna go through litigation to go find out if it's legal or not.
Art, we're on a different subject right now. We're going to keep to this. We have 2 nominations. Any more nominations?
No, but is Scott Sheehan the videographer?
Yes.
Okay, got it, okay.
And any of them that doesn't make it in each thing can be put on the next thing, so.
Okay.
Make a note of that one. So, all in favor then of, let's see, all in favor then of Leslie Bowling, do so with show of hand. Scott Shealy, do so with show of hand. So So Leslie Boland. The next seat is a seat expiring in January of 2018. And so any nominations for that seat?
Who's on that?
January 2018.
Who's on that seat?
I think that might be Kirk, yes.
Okay.
So any nominations for the 2018 seat?
I nominate Kirk Luther.
Any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Pat Donlin, please.
And let me just ask, because another appointment came up that he may be interested in. Did you decide if you want to still serve on the orchestra or on the other thing?
On the orchestra.
Oh, okay.
I have a nomination too.
Okay.
Randy Jones, the man who just took our pictures. I honestly, I think he would be very beneficial because he is a photographer. He knows how to touch up. And I think we need one. Plus, he's very eager to work with the town. He did so when he was doing the pictures. For company.
Anyone nominate?
I want to nominate Scott Shiley. This is a good problem to have. You got some.
Oh, yeah. You got to have more people than seats, and I remember when we had less people than seats.
Yeah.
Connect people, approve them all. Any more nominations? So we will go down the list. First one is Kirk Luther. All in favor, do so with show of hands. Pat Donlin, do so with show of hands. Randy Jones, do so with show of hands. And Scott Shealy, do so with show of hands. So, we got a tie with those three. We'll vote back over again.
Oh, let's just give it.
We have time for three.
But we got two more seats left too.
But we have people lined up.
Yeah, well, for one of them, so, let me mark out that, so I won't get confused. All in favor of Pat Donlin, do so with show of hands. That's three. Randy Jones. And.
Wait, Barry, did you vote?
Yeah.
So, how many was for Randy?
Two.
Oh, I thought.
But who?
Is it two or
For
three?
Randy.
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 Two. Okay, two.
Please raise your hand high so I can see.
And then, Scott Shealy. Okay. So we're slowly. This is the January 2000.
So who won that?
Pat Donlin.
No.
So we're at the January 2019. We have two seats that terms expire January 19. One of them is Kathy Kendall's, but we've already moved her somewhere else. Any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Randy Jones.
Any
How
other?
many seats do we have for 19?
We have two seats left, both expiring January 19.
And our current members is Kathy Campbell. Is that right?
Well, she's got a seat already.
Right.
Leslie Boland has a
Leslie
seat.
Boland.
Pat
Larry.
Donlin has a seat.
And who?
Pat Donlin.
Pat Donlin.
So we got two seats left and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 names.
Okay, I'm gonna still nominate my neighbor here, because I think it's important.
I thought you said that you had two seats. You had three seats available.
No, we had 5 altogether. We done filled 3, so we got 2 left.
Are you taking, James Mack off that list?
His doesn't expire until
Okay.
18th, and Heather Hardy doesn't expire until 18th.
Okay.
So those two are.
I got you.
I want to nominate Greg Roberts. He's my neighbor. His concern and the reason he wants to be on this is the age of most of us is not 30, and he thinks it's a good idea to get some 30-some-odds interested in the orchestra, which I agree with him. And he's in his mid-30s and interested. He also is a youth minister at Seacoast and wants to involve his Sunday school class, and he's a swim instructor, and he wants to involve his swim class as well to make them volunteers for the orchestra. I think this is a very altruistic thing, and I think we need a 35-year-old who's going to bring youngsters or teenagers in to volunteer.
How about your Larry Slaughter? Did you postpone?
Now, he's the next one. See, we got one more seat left, don't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so we have two names, Randy Jones and Greg Roberts. Any other nominations?
Yeah, I want to nominate again Scott Shealy.
To your point.
I already made one.
Yeah, this is where it gets difficult because you do have a lot of people that you think are qualified, but we only have so many seats and.
Well, and you have a lot of people who are valuable.
Yeah. And one thing to remember, for all those who do not get selected, we have started this thing called the talent pool, phone book, something, where all these names will be held, so that anything else that comes available, and we do have another opening, not on either one of these two things, but there is Richland County has the new penny. You might have read about it in the paper where they're being looked at. But there's an advisory group called the Transportation Penny Advisory Council or something.
To Richland County, the Transportation Penny, yes.
And Bob was serving on it, and he's not now. And they said we can nominate somebody else from the town of Irmo to serve on that. We just got to find some names and do that. I think all it says, you got to live in the town of Irmo and you can't be an elected official. That's about it. So anybody that might be interested in that as well will be available. So any more nominations? All in favor then of Randy Jones, do so with show of hands.
We may have to hire him.
Greg Roberts, do so with show of hands. Scott Shealy, do so with show of hands. So that would be two. Everybody else had one, is that correct? Is that what it? Okay. So next is another term expiring January 2019. Any nominations?
Larry Slaughter.
There you go.
We gotta have somebody on here that knows what they're doing. I just heard several, but I don't think they do.
Well, I mean, Scott served before, Larry served before, James and Heather and Kathy County. So that's five. And we also got another name of a lady that wants to be a non-voting member, but at least get involved in learning a bit more than maybe later. Wonderful. So, any more nominations?
These are for voting members, right?
Yeah, these are all for voting members, yes. So, no more nominations. All in favor then of Larry Slaughter, do so with show of hands. So, and Ms. Brown, again, I guess you'll notify them all.
So the people that didn't get nominated or getting elected, you just put them all on as non-voting members?
They could, yeah, could. We could contact them and see if they want to, yeah. Yeah, they could.
Full service non-voting members.
Yeah.
And Mr. Slaughter's 2019.
Yeah. And Scott Shealy is 2019, Pat Donlon is 2018, Leslie Fulham is 2017, and Kathy Campbell 2017. So, next is the appointment to the Central Midlands Council of Government. That is a local council of governments, basically a lot of municipalities, counties, all those. They do their job, or whatever it is they all do, but they have to have a board. And the board is made up of all elected officials and some staff too, like county administrators, different places. And City of Columbia, Richland County get a whole lot of nomination positions on that board. Town of Irmo gets one. A lot of smaller municipalities get one. Some of the smaller municipalities don't get a voting, they get kind of a non-voting called advisory. But we have a voting place. And I think over the years, different people have done it. The previous mayor used to do it. I'm not really 100%. I have gone to a lot of the meetings. I've gone to a lot of the meetings as voting and non-voting. But it's during the workday, and it's very hard and difficult for me a lot of times to go. They don't care who goes. They don't care if anybody goes. But it's good to have somebody there to be voting on the stuff. A lot of the stuff has to do with how certain grants and funds are spent in the counties, multiple counties around here. Fairfield, Newberry, Sumter, Richmond, Lexington, that may be it, I can't remember. But you'll get an agenda. This is it. This is a package for the Thursday meeting. So if anybody gets nominated, they can go. Here's the stuff. I'll give it to you. And anybody wants to serve can serve. It is during the day. It's normally a 12 o'clock lunch. They start at 11-ish, 11:30, kind of a mingle, and then get your lunch, sit down, and they have the meeting while everybody's eating, and they eat after the meeting. You're there from about 11:30 to 1:30, something. And it's on Thursday. It's normally the, whatever this Thursday is, I think it's the fourth Thursday of the month. And we just need to vote somebody, and they go, and they can go for a while, and if they want to do it, they can tell us to vote somebody else in, or whatever. So anyone who would like to do that. Huh?
I'll do it. Julius and I are the owners. I'll do it.
Okay. Appointments to the Central Midlands?
It's the last Thursday?
No, it's the fourth Thursday, which is this Thursday. You get this package in the mail 3 days ahead of time. You just look at it and make sure. December the 10th, so that was last Thursday.
See, I already missed the meeting.
Well, then you wouldn't show up down there now hungry. But this comes out and it comes, and I think whoever gets it, and then they send it to the mayor too. Sometimes I go, even if there's somebody, I just don't vote, because if I'm not a voting member, I don't vote. Even though they do it, everybody hollers at me.
Well, if they tell me when it is, I'll go.
Well, Bob sends them your name, and then they put you on the mailing list, and then you get back to the stuff.
Okay.
But you can have this one too, and look over, you can kind of see what's all involved in it.
And all I need is more paper.
So, any other nominations? Anybody else want to throw their name in here or not, or ready to vote?
The woman just says you do it.
Well, I mean, that's going to make somebody else.
I asked Julius and he would shook his head.
Okay. So, all in favor of Kathy Conlon being the appointment to the Central Midlands Council of Governments?
Yeah, because nobody else wants it.
So it's some of the stuff is good. I mean, sometimes I'll find out that everybody else in the world is getting money, and we're not getting time. And then I start calling them, find out why. And then I'm told,
Kathy will certainly do that.
Yes, I did. I'm looking at them.
some other places have more needs, maybe, or whatever, or certain, they have road list, and they kind of move up the list, and then they tell everybody, this year we'll spend money on all these roads and not all these things. Whatever. Next item is first reading of ordinance 1515 to amend the Irmo zoning ordinance, Article X. Is there a motion for first reading?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a statement before we do that, if I may.
Yes.
Wait a minute, point of order, he has to make an announcement, you have to get a second before you can discuss it.
Well, I'm
You
not
can't
discussing-
discuss it.
I'm not discussing it, I'd like to make a statement.
You can't make a statement until it's been approved. It's been seconded. The mayor knows that.
Well, if he's going to make a statement about him recusing himself or something, then yes, he can make a statement like that. Or
I'll second.
if he wants to, he
It's
makes a
been
motion.
seconded, it's been seconded, there you go.
Is there a motion? I didn't hear the motion first.
I make a motion.
You make a motion to approve.
Okay, it's been
And a
seconded.
second, Kathy? Okay. Any discussion? And technically, you made the motion, you second. I'm going to go first if you want to.
It's
You
his
don't?
statement.
I know, but I'm just going
I
to give y'all there.
defer to Councilman Bates.
Okay, go ahead.
I too talked with the Ethics Commission and also talked with my attorney, and neither found fault based on what they read. However, to keep from having any mud dug up anymore and to keep from having any more problems, I will move that I remove both of these ordinances or changes tonight.
Or you can make a motion to amend.
He wants to defer.
You want to refer, right?
I would like to defer to a later time, or,
But you're going to, if you defer to a later time, we need a time, if you can take it.
well, in that case, I will table, I move to table both of these.
Or you make a motion to table item F and G. Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion on the tabling of these two?
When you table it, it means you can't bring it up again for a year, right?
No,
Is that what it is?
just, no, a table, if you make a motion to defer, you're actually supposed to defer until the next meeting, or January the 10th, or 5th, or some specific time and date. If you table it, then you're making a motion to put it on the table and leave it there indefinitely until such time as he wants to take it off. He can't take it off at the meeting. He still has to take it off before the meeting and say, put this back on the agenda, on whatever agenda. If he wants to get more clarification from his attorney, the Ethics Commission, or whomever, or wait for the case to be settled, or whatever, then it can be tabled. Anybody can basically bring it off the table at any time. They just have to contact Mr. Brown and say, put that back on the agenda. I would advise not to do that until he's ready to take it off, because then we just put it back on the table, so to speak. But if you table it, then it's just there indefinitely until it's brought off the table. Instead of for a specific period of time, since you may not know what period of time that is. Is there any more discussion? What we'll do is vote on the motion to table, and if that's approved, then it'll be tabled. Is that correct? We don't have to vote yet. Okay. So all in favor of tabling F and G, do so show of hands. So, next item. Next item is first reading of ordinance 1517 to amend the Irmo Town Code, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2, Council, Division 2, Reading Section 268, Agenda and Order of Business. Is there a motion for approval?
I make a motion.
And a second?
A second.
What this one is, as
Would you read it? Would you read that, please?
If you'd like to read it out, you're welcome to do so.
I want you to read it. Sure, well, your report, it's your motion.
It may be, but,
This is 1517?
Yeah.
yeah, 1517.
Okay,
And what this deals with is, as Councilman Walker has brought to our attention, 268 is the section in our ordinance that refers to agendas for special call meetings and that kind of scenario. In that ordinance right now, after it talks about how that meeting will be posted and everything else, at the bottom of that, it says that the special call meetings will use the same agenda as section 264. And in the years past, in fact, in the last 2 years, I think, we've had 16 special call meetings. One of those meetings has used the regular agenda guideline. 15 of those have not. That's all the way back to 2004. Includes the previous mayor. And some of those agendas, if you look at them, are actually call to order, new business, and adjournment. And that's been the common thing since that time. We have been using the abbreviated, shortened agenda since, I don't know how long, but I know we went back to 2004, just to get a copy of all those and look and see. They have varied a little bit, but pretty much they've had call to order, new business, and adjournment.
Mr. Mayor, would you read the ordinance, please? You're talking.
I'm gonna let you read it if you'd like to. I've already said I'm not going to. I've told what's on there. If you'd like to read it to the people, that's fine. And it says, this one will be called to order.
Mr. Mayor.
Amendments to the agenda.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Presentation by citizens, new business, presentation by citizens, executive session if needed, and then adjournment. So that's what we are amending this to in order to clarify previous problem as far as not doing it the way our ordinance said. So we're actually just coming up with an agenda, which I will thank Mr. Walker for bringing this to our attention. In fact, in the course of looking at this and some other stuff, there's a lot of stuff in our agenda or in our ordinance that really needs to be clarified. Some of this stuff I've actually looked at over the last couple of years, but also knew that it was kind of a waste of my time to bring it up, so we didn't. But now that it has been brought to our attention, we need to look at some of this other. I will be bringing those other things to the council starting in January, February to clarify some more of it. But this is a new order. If we vote on it, this is the way special call meetings will be done. The regular meetings will be done by the regular agenda. These will be done by that. And we can amend this right now. We can take off some of this other stuff. We can take off amendments to the agenda because of the special call meeting. Pretty much the only thing we're going to discuss is what either the mayor called a meeting for or three councilmen called a meeting for. So I don't even know if that needs to be on there. Presentation by citizens probably needs to be on there so they can discuss whatever we're discussing that night. Then you got new business, presentation by citizens. I don't know that that one needs to be on there because we've already allowed them to speak, unless we want them to allow them to speak again after we voted so they can tell us how they feel. That's fine. Executive session. If we have a special call meeting, then I don't know that we need an executive session at that time, but we may. As the other meeting, we did, because some stuff has to be.
We needed them almost every one.
Yeah, and then adjournment. So we can leave that like that, or we can take stuff off, whatever anybody wants to do. If nobody wants to amend it, we'll leave it as is and then vote on it. So, looks like no amendments. Any discussion about this then? And I will recognize Mark Pouliot first, since he made a motion, and then Julie Wake, and then we'll.
No, as far as I know, this is the way it's been done, certainly for 10 or more years. And I would imagine you haven't had any problems, and if you were to have a problem, that would mean that going back until the creation of the special meeting, we would probably have to go back and ratify all of that work all over again. So, I think there's a precedent that's been established, certainly over the 10 years. I think a court of law would certainly find in favor. And I think we should vote.
I agree.
Any other comments? Discussion?
I have a comment. I need to ask the question of our attorney. Is
All questions are directed to the presiding officer. You can direct them
so I
to me.
can ask the question of our attorney to clarify something before I.
If you want to ask me and I can't answer it, then I will ask you.
Well, you didn't answer it before, but I mean, simply the Irmo Town Code, Section 2-62, tells you how we are supposed to hold meetings in accordance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. That's something we adopted and said this is how we do our meetings. Section 2-64 spells out the order in which the agendas are supposed to be made. And the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act, Section 30-40-80, subsection A says special meetings have to be posted and have notices placed in a public place of where you're having that actual meeting at. And again, the question I had is just to make sure I'm clear on this. You're asking for us to adopt a special meeting agenda, which in our town code is already spelled out. And the special meeting agenda is going to be laid out as in section 2-64. So if you're going to adopt a new agenda for special meetings, you have to include everything that's in section 2-64 and not just piecemeal it like you're trying to do. And that's why I need an attorney to answer the question. No, answer.
Okay. First of all, special meetings do not have to go by the same agenda. They can go by any agenda that the town adopts.
Where does it say that?
The town adopted the previous ordinance said that we would use the same agenda. However, even though the town adopted that, 2 mayors, 2 administrators, 2 administrations back to 2004 that I know of have not abided by that, not followed it. I don't know how they got started. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's been that way. You can look through this list right here, every one of these agendas, and every one of them, and I can tell you right now, if you go back to here's one for 2004, call to order, approval of purchase of a backhoe, adjournment. Here's one for, the opposite way. Here's one for January 5th, 2005, call to order, executive session, adjournment. August 2004, call to order, consideration of bids for police department buildings, adjournment. You attended those meetings. These go back to May of 2004 when you were
I'm talking about the December 4th meeting.
So we're talking about all the meetings. You had no problem with all these meetings since 2004, and all of a sudden you hadn't got one. But let me answer the question. Written public notice must include, but not need to be limited, to posting a copy of the notice at the principal office of the public body holding the meeting, which is our town hall. That's our principal body, our principal office of our body.
That's not where we hold our town meetings at.
It doesn't say it has to be voted at town. It says the notice at the principal office of the public body. And I know that since Sandra Tankersley has been serving, those agendas have been posted on the door at town hall, which meets the law.
No, it doesn't.
We can make a change.
It says principal offices where the town meeting is held.
No, it doesn't. It says principal office of the public body holding the meeting.
Well, can I ask the town attorney to interpret it for us?
I just read it for you. Well, if you're having a difficulty understanding print, you can pull it up on that thing and look at it.
Well, it says right here, you're not reading the title thing. It says,
yeah, Section 30, 40, 80, written public notice must include, but not need to be limited. In fact, we don't limit it to that. We put it on our listserv. We notify newspapers and TV stations and everybody else. We go above and beyond, and it says, of the notice at the principal office of the public body holding the meeting. The public body holding the meeting is Irmo County Council. The principal building for us is Irmo County Hall, and that's where they've been done.
Okay, but if no such office exists, the building in which the meeting is to be held, and this is the building.
You look at that door right there, you'll see that building. It does exist, and it's there. And they've been on the
That's not the public office where we hold the meeting at.
It doesn't say that.
It does too. It says right here, written public notice must include, and not be limited to the posting of a copy of the notice in the principal's office where the meetings will be held.
No, principal office of the public body holding the meeting. It doesn't say at the holding place, it says the public body of their.
It says at the building in which the meeting is to be held.
And let me just give this to the public. Section 30.
Well, like I said, if you want to ask the attorney, can you get the attorney to chime in on it?
I think you just asked me, and I just told you to read it.
Well, I'm saying I want an opinion from the attorney. The town attorney was paying $200 an hour for it.
The fact remains, we did it wrong.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did.
In the past, we've done it wrong.
In the past, we've done it wrong, and we did this wrong, that's why we're changing this agenda to
The
correct
reason
that.
it came up though is because all of a sudden we're in Robert's Rules of Order and we're all being so proper and so parliamentary that we have to go the extra step and do it this way if that's what it's supposed to be.
And if you
You
remember,
can't have one and not have both.
if you remember correctly, I think last year we had a discussion up here that Councilman Walker said we're not following by the Robert's Rules of Order. We need to do that more often, and we need to do that. So now we're doing it, now we're discussing about that.
I think Robert's is not helpful.
Well, it's not, but it is what our law says, and just like this, that's.
I think I have the floor, man, right?
Excuse me.
You've asked for a question, I've answered your question.
Okay, so.
We're not gonna deal with that with a whole.
Yeah, well, we are going to discuss it, whether you like it or not, but.
Well, discuss it.
You know, so since slavery was abolished, that means you have to go back and go back and visit all of the rules that we passed during slavery, or because that was done wrong, or because it was done right? I mean, that doesn't make any sense, but it's here and written in English, and I'm asking for a ruling from our attorney. Do you see the ordinance in there where it says section 2-68? This is the current
I'm going to call you out of order because this is the council meeting. You've already asked a question. I've already answered.
Town code, the existing town code that we're under right now, says that section 2-68 is what we follow for our meetings.
Right.
And we did not follow that for our meetings. So that means it was out of order. That meeting was not valid.
You can discuss it under item E, but we're under item H right now.
Under item H.
Yeah, 1517. So, any more discussion? Ready to vote?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna call the question.
Well, if you call a question, you have to vote on it, right?
That's right. I'm gonna call the question. I'll ask for a vote. I'm gonna call any question. Is everybody ready?
Wait a minute. This is what it says in there, right? This agenda?
Have you got 30?
No, I'm not looking at it. I'm asking. It is, right?
Oh, this right here?
Yeah.
No, this is what we came up with. Yeah, we can make it anything. We can make it just like it was years ago. Call to order, new business and adjournment, and nothing else.
We don't have received communications on there, so you know, or consideration.
Remember, the reason for a special call meeting is to address a particular issue, get to that issue, vote, and go home.
There's two presentations by citizens over.
Yeah, but if there's some information you have to know to make a decision for a special call meeting. That's where you introduce it as a communication. We don't have it in there.
Under new business.
But that's out of order anyway, because our present ordinance we have now says that we follow the complete menu of the ordinance.
Right.
You're saying the heck with the town ordinance that we have.
I called the question.
No, this is changing the ordinance.
We're just changing it.
But the fact is that it still exists right now, the ordinance that we're under right now.
Is there a second for the call to question?
So.
I second it.
All right. All in favor then of the call to question to vote, do so with show of hands. All opposed?
I'm not voting.
No? You're opposed?
I'm not voting.
You got voted. So.
I'm opposed, all right.
You're opposed or for?
I'm opposed.
Okay. All right, question's been called, has been approved, so all in favor then of 1517, approval, do so. We've got to do 2 more readings on this, so it'll be 3 readings. Do so with show of hands. All opposed? And how do you vote?
I voted no.
Okay.
But I'm glad it passed so I can amend something later.
Yeah. Next item is ordinance 1518 to amend the Irmo Town Code, Chapter 2, Administration Division 3, Municipal Clerk, Section 2191, Appointment Duties, Division 4, Town Attorney, Section 211, Appointment Qualification Powers. Is there a motion for approval of 1518?
I make a motion.
And let me make sure I'm the right one here. Second.
Second.
Any discussion? And just for the record, what this one is, I think we went through this 4 years ago, and we went through it 2 months ago. But I think there was some cloudiness in when we have the appointment to town clerk, town judge, town attorney. I think it used to say at the first meeting following the election, which the reason you do all this stuff is after the people have been sworn in, and then you reappoint. So that's been changed to say at the first regular meeting of the council in December, following the general election and the inauguration, and then the rest of it's all the same as it is. So they're taking out that sentence. I think that was brought to our attention back when we were trying to set up the inauguration as to when all this other stuff. I think years ago, and part of the problem too is we have that big black book. If you look at that big black book, it says one thing. It may not say what is up to date because it gets updated once a year. You can go to the computer and see something else. And I think according to the black book, and I got 2 of them, I might get one of them updated, not the other one, I don't know. But it had something different. It used to say after the inauguration meeting, which years ago as a council, we used to have the inauguration meeting and not do anything else, and then the next meeting do the appointment. But
Years ago, we called it the swearing in.
yeah. And so we changed it last year, but I think we still got it off, and so we're changing it again, or not last year, 4 years ago. We're changing it again to make sure that hopefully we're all on the same board from now on out.
This is okay.
So, any other discussion? And I'll recognize Mark Logout and Julia as well.
No, again, I think all we're trying to do is we're trying to clarify, so there is no more discussion about, gee, is this right, is this right? No, we're just clarifying it here.
And there is some stuff in our agenda, or not our agenda, but our ordinance, that you read it and you know what it all says today, the conflict, because it hadn't been updated probably in umpteen years. So we need to diligently, not just me, not just Barry, not just George Glassmeyer, because he tells me about stuff that I have to go look at and figure out, and then I gotta figure out is my copyright or wrong. And then we need to make amendments to that starting probably in January, get some of that stuff cleared up, especially Section 2 administration, the whole shebang in there.
Okay, can I recognize you right there?
Yes.
So that big black book you're referring to is our Irmo Town Codes, right?
Yeah, our ordinance.
Ordinance. And so all those words and those meanings in those town ordinances are what we're supposed to go by as being our basic law of the land, right?
It is correct.
So why would you, I'm talking, so why would you disregard certain parts of the ordinances and then, take other parts of the ordinance and say, okay, we need to strengthen those things? That doesn't make any sense, does it?
It depends on maybe who you ask, but
I'm asking you, you got the ordinance book in front, and you say that this is our town Bible, basically, this is our code of ordinance, and some of the things in there that you apparently want to strengthen to give more teeth to, and the other things you want to disregard because I guess it's not to your liking or whatever.
Well, that would be your opinion, but no, I'm saying that the book that we have, as of January, whenever we get it updated, as of February, March, April, May, June, and July, we start making changes to it, it's basically outdated, unless we change everything in the book as we change ordinances.
We do. Every time you get an ordinance change, it's updated as,
It's not updated in the book.
You have a book in front of you. You can put those pages of new ordinance right in there.
But it's also on the computer, and it's not updated on the computer.
But it's updated in our personal books.
It's gonna start to be updated on the
Yeah,
computer.
they're gonna try to start doing that more often.
Yeah, whenever
too.
I send them in to be,
So that we can
whenever
always
they're
go to our computer and hopefully. it
How
will be
often, how often will?
well, we just started where it usually take, depending upon how many ordinances are being sent in to be codified, it's anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. I sent those in, it's probably been 4 weeks since I sent in all of the ones that we've done so far for this year. And I just looked on the website, and they haven't done it. I talked with him the other day, and he said that it will probably either be today or tomorrow.
Well, that's fine, but as soon as it's codified up in the council, I can take that page and put it in my book myself. Mine can be updated immediately.
You could, but they do it
Is that right?
in verbatim.
But I can do my own book immediately.
Right.
It's not, you could, but it's
Okay.
not gonna be how
It's
it,
gonna be hard to
sometimes,
do.
yeah.
And if you have 2 new elected people and they get the old book, then there's another thing. I'm just saying that book is good, but it's not 100% reliable because it's not updated once a year. But they can update it more often, it just costs a whole lot of money.
But the things that we're talking about tonight is nothing that we updated in the last 4 or 5 years. And I mean, it certainly is, all the information that we're talking about is accurate in the book.
The stuff that we'll start with 1519 have to do with the Oakstrut. None of that stuff we did earlier this year.
No, I'm talking about the 2-64.
Yeah,
that stuff
that's
hasn't been changed in
yeah, hasn't been changed in years.
years, right? Okay, so that information is correct in the book.
Yeah.
But you choose not to follow it.
No, I don't refuse to follow it. I'm saying that council has not followed it in years.
But you're saying that
I
that's
think we need to update
okay.
it.
Just because you've done it in the past.
Yeah.
Ignorance of the law is no excuse. You ever heard that before? Okay, that's the law at Irmo, and you're saying, okay, well, since we've done it in the past, that's no excuse for me.
And that's why we're correcting it now, because it come to our knowledge that we're not doing it according to that, so we're making sure that we are. And right now, we're on 1518. Is there any more discussion about 1518? Which is changing that from what it says now to first regular meeting of council in December following the general election and the inauguration. The council will, blah, 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 blah. So, all in favor then, first reading of ordinance 1518, show of hands. All opposed? And next item is first reading of ordinance 1519 to amend the Irmo Town Code, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 4, Board, Commission, Committees, Divisions 2, Oakstrut Commission, Section 262. There are actually 1, 2, 3, 4 of these on here. And is there a motion for first reading?
I make a motion.
And a second. I will second that. This here thing that Kim just gave out to everybody,
Mayor, would you read the ordinance, please?
What's the name of that?
Irmo Town Code, Division 1, generally.
Oh, okay.
You should have it up
You have it? Well, let me give you one, because I already had one, so I'll give you mine. Extra.
I should have it, but I have a lot.
You have it.
Thank you.
This is section 262 membership. There's A, B, C, and D. That's what our ordinance says today, with all the changes that were made earlier this year that aren't on the computer yet and aren't in the black book yet. So they did go ahead and print us out what they had codified to send it to us. It's just not on the computer. But this will show what the actual ordinance reads as of today. That's actually what's been approved by council. Ordinance 1519 is what I'm asking us to change. If you will look at paragraph A, and down to where, about 1, 2, 3, 4 sentences from the bottom, it says, or the 5th sentence above that, and I'll just start in the middle, refers to voting members who shall be residents of Lexington/Richmond School District 5 and/or operate licensed business within the town. So that's what it says now. What I'm proposing is it says, shall be residents of the town of Irmo, comma, or own property, comma, or own operated business within town limits, or be a resident of Lexington School District 5. So that just says that first, if they can't be a resident, or they are a resident, that's better. If they're not, if they own property in the town, they could own a rental home, they could own land, whatever. They could own a business property and they rent it out. But they own property in the town, or they own an operated business within the town, then those are kind of more priority, so to speak. If none of that's true or applicable, then they still, as long as they're in School District 5. Not to say that you've got to approve somebody that's in the town over somebody that's not, because somebody in School District 5 may have more experience than somebody in the town. But it just, if they're all even Steven and nobody's got any experience, then hopefully we would push or vote or promote someone in the town over someone not in the town. So that's the first change. The second part.
Wait a minute, on that first part, I have an amendment to that. That's A, right? That's your A.
Yeah.
I wanted to amend that to say, well, I'm going to make an amendment.
Let me make a note here. 15, 19. And your motion to amend is?
And U.S. citizen.
Where would we put that, at the end?
I don't care, we put a U.S. citizen in there.
All right, so there's a motion to amend and to be a resident of Lexington School District 5 and just say, comma.
And a citizen of the United States.
And, well, you're a U.S. citizen.
Okay.
Or, that'd be the same one, yeah, okay.
But we're giving priority to the town of Irmo first.
All right, so is there a second?
I second.
All right, let's vote on that amendment, and then we'll get all these and then vote on the whole thing at one time. All in favor of the amendment, do so with show of hands. All right. Then, paragraph A, after you get through with all that stuff we just added, operate a business within the town. The next sentence starts with, subject to the restrictions of this section, the Lake River Irmo Women's Club may nominate one of the regular voting members to the town council for consideration. My proposal here is to delete that sentence and leave the next sentence. The town administrator shall serve as the...
Okay, hold on, Mr. Mayor, on that one, delete that sentence, paragraph A.
Okay.
You're unable to delete that sentence because we have ordinance 15-04, which includes that sentence again, and that ordinance has to be repealed. So I would suggest you leave that alone and repeal the ordinance 15-04 in its entirety, and then go and remove that sentence after that, if that repeal of the ordinance 15-04 is done.
Well,
if you need a copy of 15-04, I have a copy of it.
Let me get that. Okay. If it says they can do it in there, then they can do it in there when it's taken out of here. Thank you.
I don't want it taken out at all.
Well, you can't. What I'm saying is you have another ordinance, 15-04, which has it in there, and you're saying take that one sentence out of this ordinance, and you can't because it's in the other ordinance.
Well, you can't take it out of here because it's in there.
You can't take it out of here because it's in here.
Well, this is still intact, so, based on
Okay,
that.
if you take it out of here, but it's still here, it's still valid, you haven't done anything.
That's right, we're just clearing up this section here, right now.
But you can't do that, what I'm saying to you, you have to, I would rather for you to repeal this whole thing than to try to take it out of this one section.
So if you like to put that
Repeal
on
that,
the future
and then-
agenda and repeal it, then you can
Well,
do
it's your emotion, I'm saying, you need to repeal this first,
Let's just
and
amend it and
then,
take out that one thing.
you can't. Oh, you take that out, you're saying, or take it in?
Yeah, take out the deletion. I think the
I
Women's
agree,
Club
but you-
deserves to have a
Well-
someone on the commission.
But you can't, what I'm saying is that the order which you're doing is improper.
They still can, according to that, they still can.
So by deleting that, it's not gonna do anything.
No.
The same.
But it just clears up this here because as far as our planning commission and our infrastructure commission.
You need a copy?
Our ZBA, town council does just like we did tonight. We get nominations, we nominate people. Any council member can nominate anybody they want to, whether they turn in anything to the talent bank or whatever.
Yeah, but by ordinance, this was done by ordinance, so you have to repeal 1504 first, and that takes 3 readings, and then you have to repeal this one line, and that would take another 3 readings, so it takes you about 6 readings to do what you're trying to
Still in
do.
there, so according to that, they can still nominate people to this. This just takes it out of there and cleans up this literature here.
But you can't.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
Council can vote to do
You
that.
have another ordinance that's been enacted, 1504,
Right.
which gives them exactly the same rights as what you have
So why have
under
it two
delete.
different places? What's the benefit in having 2 different places?
I don't know why you want to take it out of either one.
Well, we passed this before, when it used to be here, we passed this last year, so.
Can you ask the town attorney, or is that something you want to rule on too?
You can rule on it yourself, you can.
Well, okay, I want to know, I want to know what the, you cannot take it out of one and have it in the other one.
We're allowed to change any ordinance any way we want.
But you have another sitting ordinance that's got that in there, Mr. Mayor, that's what I'm trying to point out to
We
you.
all agree that it does, and we all agree that with this ordinance, they can still nominate people. Even if they don't have this ordinance, any council member can still nominate anybody.
So can I ask the mayor, or attorney for clarification on that?
If you can come up with a reason why you can't understand this, then yes, but I think.
Well, I do have a reason. You can't take it out of one and have it in the other without going through repealing this one first and then going back and repealing the second one.
Because we can take it out of here, leave it in there, and they still have every right to nominate somebody. So, and actually,
So what are you accomplishing by taking out of that
we're
one?
clearing up this here.
But you're not clearing up anything. I mean, you have to repeal 1504.
You make your discussion.
And I would like to find out from our town attorney if I'm
On to the
correct.
next discussion.
Are you not willing to rule on that?
No, don't have to rule on that.
Okay, so now the mayor's not willing to even rule on that.
There's nothing to rule on. We can vote to take it out, we can vote to change it, we can vote to delete that, we can vote to do whatever.
You have a city, again, that book you referred to, that little black book, is our town ordinances. This is a town ordinance 1504. That town ordinance gives the ladies, the women's club, the right to have a voting seat on the infrastructure commission. By you going and trying to circumvent that by deleting that one line in ordinance 2-60, whatever it is, 15, that's improper. You can't do that. I mean, you can't.
And actually.
Do you not understand that? I mean,
This one only says that they can nominate, this one says they're allowed to have one voting seat, so that one's more clear than this one here.
To nominate for our consideration, I think we ought to take out that one little line. I'm with you on all the rest.
So you are making a motion
To delete the delete.
delete the delete.
They asked for consideration of one commission member.
Right.
I think they deserve it. They're the hardest working, other than the other members of the committee. Anyway, I just think they deserve it.
Right. And
If
according
you
to
take out
this,
that, I'm for the rest of them.
and according to that, they can't.
I'm looking at this.
Yeah.
Y'all can deal with that later.
Okay. So Kathy has made a motion to delete
The delete.
paragraph A.
The numbers.
No, she's saying leave it in paragraph A.
No, she's saying on this to delete.
Delete this.
Yeah.
So leave it in.
And leave it in
Okay.
here. Yeah. And I think it's only right and proper.
How do you,
I want to leave that sentence in, that they get to nominate someone for council's consideration.
So it's
I mean,
not,
it's for our consideration, it's not a.
We will vote to either leave that sentence in there or remove that sentence.
Remove some.
So there is a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Does everybody understand what we're doing?
Yeah.
We're voting on taking this second thing out here, this deletion of this entire sentence, out of this ordinance, so it goes back to what it is right there.
But you're getting the other three.
Huh?
You're getting the other.
Well, I'm just gonna go through and clear this up in the best of my mind, how it needs to be.
There's nothing confusing about it.
So, anybody else got any discussion?
I hope
You, oh, okay, I thought you were gonna say something, okay. All in favor then of the amendment to delete the deletion sentence, paragraph A? Do so, show of hands.
So in essence, what we're doing is we're leaving it
In there, we're leaving it in there as it is under
But
this.
they get to nominate one member for our consideration.
Right.
And they can still do that according to that.
Yeah.
So, I'm just trying to clarify this here so there's not any confusion. This says that they get to nominate, this says that they get to have a seat. So there is a confusion when one of them says they get to nominate.
This is saying, what we're voting on right now is saying that they get to nominate.
So this is discussion of the
More consideration.
What's in here says they get to nominate. What's in here says
So
they get
what
allowed to
Larry gave
vote.
us?
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's an ordinance that's on the book too. So one ordinance says they get to nominate, one ordinance says they get to have.
Well, now it's your turn to work on this one.
It says nominate one regular voting member of for the town council to consider.
Consideration, but I mean, we don't have to consider it.
Am I, just for information, any citizen can nominate.
Anybody, well, any council member.
Any council member
Any
can
council
nominate. Right.
Okay.
So,
But they get to nominate?
Right.
well, right here, they can nominate somebody to us and then we
Okay.
consider it or not. But based on this right here, they can nominate somebody, we can turn it down. According to this, they get one vote.
Well, then you need to change this.
Which one?
The one that you just said it didn't agree with.
So you want to take,
That, not tonight.
well, it's not on the agenda tonight. So you want to leave that here and then come back and take it off
Or
there
come back.
at a later date?
I think they all ought to agree.
Okay, okay. So, if we vote yes, we're voting to leave it in here and take it off this amendment, or ordinance.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so all in favor then,
Say it again now, we're gonna leave it in here and take it out of where?
if we vote yes to Kathy's amendment,
Right.
for a second, we're voting to leave it in the current thing
That little black book thing you're talking about,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, okay.
and take it out of my ordinance 1519.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor then of Kathy's amendment to delete the delete? You know what we're talking about.
Y'all vote.
So, okay.
Thank you.
All opposed?
Thank you, ladies.
All right, so that has been deleted. All right, next is paragraph C. Oh, the very last sentence where it says town dot. I'm extending that sentence. Instead of it reading before submission to the town, it'll say before submission to the town for approval. Instead of it saying before submission to the town, it'll say to the town administrator for approval. In other words, instead of town, who is the town? Just at the town.
Okay.
So it goes to the town administrator. All right. Next is, next page, item D. What I'm proposing is to delete that whole entire section right there and change it to this section right here that says an orchestra administrator / coordinator, which we may change it at some time to come up with whatever name, may be hired by a majority vote of council as either a W-2 employee or a 1099 contractor, since we don't know if we're going to hire somebody as a contractor or hire them in the town. The administrative coordinator will work directly for the town administrator and provide reports to the town council as needed. Compensation will be determined by council based on experience and performance. That basically just clarifies some of that and says that this administrative coordinator, or whatever name we give that person, will be hired by the town, not through the Orchestra Commission, but will be hired by the town. And they will either work for the town as a W-2 part-time, full-time employee, or a 1099 contract, whatever we determine at a later date. But whichever way we go, then it'll be approved. And then the person works directly for the town administrator. Reports to them and works through them. That's what that says.
1521?
No, we're still on 1519, item D. So, any questions about that?
No, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of clarifies that they can have an administrative coordinator, whatever we call them. We would do the hiring. Bob would basically do the hiring. We as a council would decide, is it going to be a 1099 or W-2? How are we going to handle that? There's been some discussion. You know, we've got to decide probably January, February sometime. Whether we hire somebody and let them work in-house, full-time, part-time, probably more part-time, to do the orchestra, and maybe call them the coordinator or whatever, but they would do the orchestra, they would do the Christmas tree lighting, they'd do concerts in the park, they would do whatever else that comes up, Veterans Day celebration, who knows what. And you take care of all that kind of stuff, and they would be the person that does all it. Or we don't do that, we just hire somebody as a administrative coordinator on a 1099 and do it on part-time. We may do one and then switch later.
Especially them.
Yeah, special event coordinator. I kind of like that idea. I don't think we have enough for them to do it. Hey, I don't know. We just got to figure it
It
out.
might be part-time, but that's.
Yeah. So that's what those three remaining ones are. The first one is. The second one we added U.S. citizens. The other one we deleted. And then we added the town administrator. And then we deleted the entire one and added this section here.
So section D says, what does it say right now? I mean,
right now,
yes, it says administrator is authorized.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you want to do away with the orchestra administrator?
No, I want to do away with that paragraph and then put this paragraph here.
Well, I mean, we haven't approved the coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
No, this would give us the right to do that.
Yeah.
What's a coordinator? What is it? I don't see where we define that.
It would be like a special events person.
We haven't found, but that's not the orchestra administrator. It says here.
One of the special events would be the orchestra.
Yeah.
But they
Oh, okay, okay, I got you.
They would, yeah, they would either do just that one job or they would do multiple jobs. We just gotta maybe think about that and in January, put it on the agenda and start deciding.
I could get several people that would do it.
But I mean, this ordinance for the orchestra administration is specifically for the orchestra. You're saying you want to change it to a person that does not only orchestra but other.
Well, we don't know.
Well, we're just saying
where it's going.
for the orchestra, it'll be called the orchestra coordinator, administrator, whatever we want to call them. He'll be hired by the council.
Well, I mean, call him an administrator. That's what he is. That's what we want.
And well, we used that name coordinator before. We may change it again. Like I said, we may come back and change it. But it says that however we decide to hire them, they will work for the town, and they'll either be a W-2 or 1099. And we may decide to hire somebody in the town as a event coordinator and assign these duties to them. And then we'd have to go back and, I don't know.
Hey, there's a lot of special events, I think.
But, yeah, and we may want to do more than this person can do that. I've heard people ask why we don't do veteran stuff at Veterans Market, Easter egg comps, and some other stuff, so. Any more discussion? All in favor then of the 1519 as amended with the deletion of one paragraph, the extension of the other one with U.S. citizens? That's it. Okay. Do so, show of hands. All opposed? And let me make a note right here. All right, next is ordinance 1520. That was the most difficult one. The rest of these are a whole lot easy. 1520, to amend the Irmo Town Code, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 4, Board of Commission Committees, Division 2, Orchestra Commission, Section 263, Organization and Meeting. Is there a motion to amend, to approve ordinance 1520? I make a motion. And a second.
A second.
What that one is, if you go to this thing, 263, organization meetings, I have to kind of read this as I go too. All right. If you look under organizational meetings, section 1, ABC.
Okay.
What I'm proposing is to take item A and move it to B, B to C, and C to A. Put them in a different order, kind of like the agenda. This is the agenda for that meeting. The C is to determine specific projects and needs within the town where the commission will recommend be emphasized in its fundraising. I think when the mayor calls that meeting, the first thing I would like to discuss is the fundraising for this coming year in the orchestra. Blah, blah, blah. What are we going to do? Where would we like to spend money? What is it going to go to? Yada, yada, yada. Then after that is done and taken care of, then get to the parliamentary stuff, which is elect the chairperson, vice chair, secretary, controller, that kind of thing. And then at that meeting.
Are you discussing this, or are you just?
Well, I'm just explaining.
A second before we discuss it?
We already got a second. Mark made a motion, Julia seconded. So I'm just explaining this to y'all and also to the audience, so everybody will know. Instead of reading it, I'm just discussing it so that everybody knows.
Well, to read it won't be easy.
No. But if you would like to read it, I'll let you do it.
Your motion, I mean, you should be.
Yeah, but I'm going to read it. Read.
Where on?
So we're moving A to B, B to C, C to A.
Okay.
On that right there.
Okay.
Because I think it makes more sense than that. I mean, this is basically the agenda for that meeting. You have this discussion, you nominate officers, and then you determine if there's any vacancies, and then you go home. That's the end of the meeting. That's all it's about. So I'm proposing to put those in a different order. And then, under B, which is determine if any vacancies exist, which is being moved to C, is to delete all of B and change it to where it says paragraph C should now read, determine which if any vacancies exist on the commission and notify the town administrator of the number of vacancies. The town administrator will advertise for the vacancies through all available media sources and provide the list to council for approval. That just kind of clears up. At that meeting, if there's vacancies, instead of them making decisions, they just tell Bob, we got 5 vacancies, and then Bob does what Bob does, and advertises it, whatever, and then we vote on it at the council meeting. So I'm just rewording that. And then again, changing paragraph C to A, reorganizing them. And in that, in section...
We're going to vote on each one separately, right?
No, we vote on this 1520 all at one time.
Okay, well, I'm not clear on exactly what you're trying to accomplish here. Would you please write your amendment or your new ordinance in its entirety, instead of talking about going C to A to B, C to D, to A, K to Y? You know, I don't understand.
Anybody else have a problem?
I have a problem with it.
Okay.
It's not clear. It's not, if you want to...
This is first reading, right?
This is first reading, and it means...
But it's not clear. It's just...
The second reading, we can do it like that. We will answer.
No, this is the way the ordinance is right here.
No, it's not. It's not like that. You're saying move stuff around.
Right.
Rewrite the ordinance in its entirety and give it to us.
Well,
so if you want to just make it easy, just do it.
Wants to do all that, and Bob wants to ask her to do all that, then that's fine with me. But I don't think it's necessary.
It is necessary because
Well,
you
they
keep
could end
stealing
this
it.
discussion right here.
Not a doubt it. I doubt very seriously it would. Anyway, back to what we're talking about.
For second reading.
And In paragraph C, we're
It'd be
moving
easier
that.
just do away with it.
It'd be easier to let me finish speaking and then just follow along, but that's okay too.
Oh, I don't follow, I lead, sir.
In section C, where it says right here, determine specific projects and/or needs.
Yes.
I'm changing determine to say discuss. And then where it says, in the end of that sentence where it says within the town which the commission will recommend, it'll say the town council will recommend. So you got that? So that's all of section A, organizational meeting. We're changing a few words. We're moving A to B, B to C, C to A, and then reorganizing some words. Okay. Under section B, subsequent meetings, you got line 1, line 2, section 3. Those all stay the same. All we're doing is adding section 4, a new section to that. And that section says, the Obstruct Commission shall hold an exit meeting, if you will, which is some of the names that's been mentioned, and or lesson learned meeting, which I think is some of the names that have been mentioned, within 30 days of the completion of the Obstruct Festival. This meeting will identify all the positive and negative issues that occurred during the festival. The Commission will discuss these issues, prepare recommendations, and the chairman and/or coordinator will present a final report to the town council after the first regular scheduled meeting in November following the festival. This report will include the Orchestra Festival final budget. So they will meet, they will go over what worked, what didn't work, what changes need to be made, all that stuff. They will come to us in November, and they will give us that report along with the budget that said, here's how much we make. And that's what all that is in 263 under section 1520.
Okay, can I have the floor, Mayor?
Yes.
Okay. This is all great, what you're saying, A to C, D to D, whatever, and it's clear as mud to me what you're trying to accomplish. It would be a lot easier if you just say you want to do away with the Orchestra Commission and rewrite the commission rules, and then give us a completed ordinance with the way you want it to read. It also says here, and again, our existing code, Irmo Town Code, section 2-263, organization and meetings, says that the Orchestra Commission shall hold its first meeting for the coming fiscal year prior to November 15th of each year. Did that happen?
I showed up, and James Mack showed up, and Kurt Luther showed up, and Bob showed up, and some citizens showed up.
So was that meeting properly advertised like it was supposed to?
No, it wasn't, so we did not have a meeting, we did not have a
So it wasn't
forum.
properly exercised?
We didn't have
Properly
a,
advertised?
I'm answering.
Yeah, I'm asking a simple, was that meeting properly advertised?
Trying to answer. We did not have an agenda. It was not advertised because we did not have an agenda, and we did not have a quorum. So even if we had an agenda, even if we had a proper, we wouldn't have a quorum. So no, we did not have the meeting.
So you just said that this was the agenda for that meeting, Mr.
Right.
So here's the agenda right here. Was that agenda posted on the town community bulletin?
No, that's why we did not have the meeting.
Okay, so in that case, section 2-63, our town code, that little book as you refer to it, is adhered to, and you didn't have the proper notification, and it was not advertised. But section 2-64 is something we don't have to worry about because you're going to change it, right?
I'm not sure what your question is or your comment.
Well, my question is that we're supposed to have a meeting on November 15th called by you, and that didn't happen. So does that mean that all of this is moot point now? Is that what it means?
I don't know.
No, this is after
What's
next
the
year.
question?
Yeah. Well, he's changing all this. He's changing all of this stuff. Organization meetings.
Well, it's still going to be before the 15th. It's still going to be A, B, and C. They're just in a different order. And
So you're changing the ordinance, right?
changing the order of A, B.
You're changing the ordinance, is that correct?
That's what we're voting on, yes.
You're changing the ordinance, so how can you change the ordinance when you didn't even do what you're supposed to do on the ordinance as it exists right now?
Because council has the authority to vote on changing ordinances any day the meeting that they meet. That's what we're authorized and elected to do. So, any more discussion? So right now, everything on ordinance 1520 is as written on here. All in favor then of 1520 as written? So show of hands. All opposed? Next is ordinance 1521. And this is section 264. Duties and functions. And which one are we at? 1521. Is there a motion to approve amending section 251?
I make a motion.
And is a second.
A second.
What this one is, I just have to look at it for a second. Section 264, duties and functions, item A. Right now it says the Oakstrip Commission shall have control and jurisdiction over the planning. I'm asking that be changed from have control and jurisdiction to be responsible for. That's the one change there.
And where is it?
The first, right there where you come in.
Okay, okay.
Where it says have control and jurisdiction, and delete that and be responsible for. Extend the last sentence to read, and that's subsection A, where it says events held in the town each year, to read each year subject to town ordinances, procurement procedures, FOI laws, and town council directives. We're just adding that to that sentence. In other words, get rid of that dot and then add this dot.
So you want to read the whole sentence to us, or you can't do that?
I can, but I think you're probably capable of reading it yourself right there. But if it'll gain your vote and trust, what it says is the Irmo Oakstrip Commission, what it's going to say, shall be responsible for the planning, promoting, directing of all activities related to the Oakstrip Festival event held in the town each year, subject to town ordinances, procurement code, procurement procedures, FOI laws, and town council directives. So it just says they have, they're responsible for all that, subject to those other stuff, whatever ordinance says, whatever procurement says, whatever FOI says, and whatever town council directives are. So that's all of that 264. Any questions?
Wouldn't it be easier just to say you do with the Oakstrip Commission?
No.
And turn it over to the town?
And that's what, if you think it's easier, you're welcome to put that on our agenda at some time, and we can vote on that.
Well, I mean, the way you're doing it right now is just piecemealing, and I think it's more confusing than anything else.
I move the previous question.
A second.
All in favor then of voting, do so with show of hands.
We voted on the
No,
amendment.
we're voting on the college question.
He didn't say call for a question. He said-
That's
Okay.
actually the previous question is the correct terminology, but yeah. So, you voted, I voted, how you
Well,
voted?
you got three, you're all right.
Okay. And all opposed to the previous question?
I don't vote on this.
I'm opposed
No, okay.
to she voted for it all.
So, all in favor then of ordinance 1521 to be amended as written here, do so with show of hands. All opposed? Next item is ordinance 1522. Is there a motion for approval of amendment 1522?
So moved.
And second.
Second.
And what this one says. 265. Change. I gotta find it here. Oh, in paragraph A, third sentence down about the middle of that paragraph where it says prior to the adoption of the annual town budget. Is from there down, prior to the adoption of the annual town budget, the commission, where it says commission, change it to the town administrator, shall submit to the council a realistic budget outline. So instead of the commission presenting the budget, then the town will do the budget, and the town administrator. And then what I'm suggesting, and I don't know, yeah, well, it's in here too, okay.
Okay. You said, talking about the A, 265A?
265A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sentences down where it says commission, is take commission off and put town administrator.
So the
There's
commission.
commission 5 places in
Give it to
here.
the administrator to give it
The
to
administrator does the budget, and then he gives it to us,
Okay.
and then we vote.
So that commission,
Okay,
so that's what he's talking about?
yeah. So we take off commission, and then the town administrator will do the budget. And then, the last sentence of that, where it says, the documentation will include verification from the legislative administrator that proper account is identified, and that sufficient funds are available prior to it being submitted to the town administrator for approval. Instead of it saying, maybe I want to extend the last sentence to read. Okay, go back to that.
You don't even, Mr. Mayor, point of order.
Go back to that same sentence.
Confuse himself.
Prior, well, it is kind of confusing because just trying to get this stuff organized.
It is organized.
Prior to the adoption
2 years.
of the annual town budget, it will say town administrator shall submit to the council a realistic budget outline. And right there, it'll say budget outline for approval by council no later than council's first meeting in February. So the town administrator will do a budget, he'll give it to us in January, and we have to approve it in January. And then it's approved, and then we give that budget to the commission. When they start meeting in January, February, we give them a budget and say, here's your budget.
The first meeting in
February.
That's
Well,
impossible.
we do it, no, it's not.
That's impossible because
No.
it says right here, prior to the adoption of the annual town budget, the commission shall submit to the council a realistic budget outline. Now, you're saying you want them to give you a budget for the next year's orchestra, which will be a year away? That's impossible for them to do that. They don't know what they're gonna be working with.
We're not asking the commission, we change the commission to town administrator. Bob Brown will give us a budget in January of every year.
How can, Mr. Mayor, how can the town administrator give you a budget for the orchestra commission who has control over their expenditures of their funds raised by and appropriated to the orchestra commission? How can he do that?
The same way he did it last year, and the
He
same
didn't
way.
do that last year. He didn't give us,
And the
they
same way
gave him
he's
a
already
budget.
done it, he's already done a budget. I've already.
They gave him a budget. The
No,
orchestra commission gave him a budget. If you say that's what he did last
he
year,
did the budget
that was
last year.
wrong.
We set the budget, Bob Brown did the budget last year.
No, you didn't. The orchestra commission submitted a budget to you guys.
Mhm.
Kurt Luther did the budget for the orchestra commission and gave it to Bob.
What information? Did Bob set the budget?
Yeah, Bob made the budget last year.
No, he didn't. The orchestra budget was given
He
to
did.
Bob by the orchestra commission.
He answered it, he
Yeah,
did.
he did.
And I did review it with Kurt before it was presented to council.
There you go. Kurt gave him the budget and told him this.
Bob Brown, the city did the budget, and anyway, what we're changing it to,
Kurt,
so
you
we
read
don't
the
have
budget last year?
any of this confusion in the future, is that it says right here, the town administrator will do the budget, he's already done one, set and shall submit to the council, and then at that council meeting, we can amend it all we want to, up and down, left and right, A and A, and Ed and delete, and then once it's
That's
done,
impossible.
I
that's it.
move the previous question.
That's impossible.
So,
Well, I got the floor. You can't move while I'm in the middle of my discussion, so you have to chill with that. That is impossible for you to do because the administrator The orchestra commission is the ones that come up with the budget and tell you what kind of festival they want to put on. We've asked them to put the festival on. Now, if you're telling us that you want to stop the orchestra commission from putting on the festival and turn that over to the town, then that's what you need to say and not piecemeal it like you're trying to do. It's too confusing.
Well, we're going to follow Robert's Rules of Order. According to Robert's Rules, once the previous question has been called and seconded, it takes priority.
Yeah, it does.
But not in the middle of my
Yeah,
discussion.
it does, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
So, all in favor then of moving to the previous question and vote? Do so, show of hands. All opposed?
Yeah.
Which one?
Whatever you need it to be.
Put it down yes. Put it down yes.
Put it down no.
The call is,
She said whatever, put it down yes. And any opposed? So you're for it?
No, I'm opposed.
Oh, okay. So, ordinance 1522, all in favor of the amendments as done here, do so show of hands.
this is what we did last year.
All opposed? Okay.
Ask Kurt who did the budget.
We are on item 10. The one we often waiting for approval to rescind all actions during the special meeting of 12/4. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I will recognize Councilman Walker first and then Councilwoman Kathy Condon second.
The December 4th meeting we had on the orchestra, the December 4th meeting we had, the special call meeting was, it violated several ordinances in the town code, starting with section 2-62 of our Irmo town code, which our town attorney has in front of him, and you have in your books. We're supposed to hold meetings in accordance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. In Irmo Town Code 2-64 spells out the order in which the agenda should be made and in the order it was taken. In South Carolina Freedom of Information Act, section 30-4-80, subsection A, says a special meeting notice and agenda must be posted no later than 24 hours prior to the meeting. Subsection D states a written notice must be included in the posting of the building which the meeting is to be held.
No,
and
that's not what it says.
Subsection Freedom of Information Act, subsection 30-40-70, subsection C says that no chance meeting or electronic communications may be used to circumvent the spirit of those requirements. Now, we had a meeting on the 4th of December, and according to the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act, that meeting should have been posted on that door that we see in front of us that you walk through, and it should have been posted at least 24 hours in advance. At that meeting, we also did things in an executive session that was out of order. We did things such as removing appointed commissioners, which are not employees of the town, and you can't basically go into executive session to remove an employee that is not, the commissioners that are not employees of the town. You can go into executive session to appoint them or look for their qualifications, but the reciprocal of that is not valid. According to South Carolina Freedom of Information Act, section 30-4-70, subsection A, paragraph 1. So, in a nutshell, the entire meeting was illegal, and everything we did in that entire meeting should be rescinded.
Or ratified.
Huh?
Or ratified.
Yeah, we could. Well, I'll let anybody else speak.
Well, now it's my turn.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you. We did this once before over a bathroom in the park. I voted for it so many times that that sucker ought to be built by now. So if we re-ratify what we did, including hiring our lawyer, who we hadn't heard a word out of tonight, and that's not a criticism, I wish we had heard a word out of you tonight. then I think we ought to ratify what we did. Now, I'm not talking about executive session. I'm just talking about the reason the meeting was called that was on the agenda. The executive session, I'm not sure of. And I am not a lawyer, and I'm not going to pass judgment. But I do think everything else we did, we ought to ratify like we've done before, when you didn't agree with the meeting. Right. Well,
So, are you, no, I'll let anybody else.
The meeting agenda was the same agenda that's been used for the last 10 years. There's a precedent that's been used. We voted today to make sure that there is...
Today doesn't count, though.
This could.
You've got the floor.
All I'm saying is, what you're doing is you're opening up those 10 years plus to do away with everything that you voted for in special sessions.
Is somebody else commenting somewhere?
The only person that could talk is up here.
Well, sorry, something else. Okay.
Well, that's my point.
Okay.
but let me add something to what you said. We've already voted twice, though, on something else that was also precedent, and we did it anyway. That's why.
Well, that's the reason why I'm a new council member. And all I want is I want clear language so we can move on from here. That's all I'm trying to do.
I understand. What? No. Julius is next, and then I'll be next, and then you go after that.
Well, I agree with Mark. There's a lot of ambiguous definitions, ordinances in the town code that are not enforced because of the ambiguity. Rental properties, and I'll say no more than that. So I think we need to straighten it out.
I want to mention a couple of things. It takes a little bit for my brain to think, but we had a special meeting on December the 4th. That meeting was sent out, published. It was sent out to the state newspaper, the Irmo News, WIS, WLTX, and 984 people on our listserv. It was also posted on Town Hall. That is where we've always posted, and according to section 30-4-80, all it says in section D, written public notice must include but not need to be limited to a posting which we did the other stuff, a copy of the notice at the principal office of the public body holding the meeting. It doesn't say it has to be posted at a place where the meeting is held, and I'm going to assume and guess that Senator Tankersley and whoever else was the town administrators way back when, and maybe the mayor, and maybe whomever, at some point called, whenever this law got passed, which is 1987, I think, and said, hey, where do we post it? I don't know where we had the meetings back then. I don't know if we had town hall. I don't know if we had this building here. But I'm sure they asked. And when they said, wherever your main building is where it needs to be, because that's where the main people are going to come in and look. We can't, in January, if somebody wants to, and I hope somebody will besides me, put on the agenda that we also posted not only on the door of Town Hall, but on the door of this building right here, courthouse building, whatever we want to call it. And that way it's covered both bases from now on out. But right now, the law says it only has to be posted on the principal office of the public body holding the meeting. It doesn't say where. So we're confined there. And it says the notice must include the date, times, and place. Agenda and meeting for regular scheduled meetings shall be posted, and blah, blah, blah. 24 hours. We did it 48 hours, Bob. I think it was Wednesday when I told you to call a meeting, and everything was done that night, and I think the next morning it went out to the paper and whoever, so we did it probably more than 24 hours.
It was very well
Probably close to 48.
Very well attended.
I think we tried to get it out there 48 hours in advance, not 24 at all given time. So we've done everything the law requires us to do, and actually more, because it doesn't say we have to advertise it. It doesn't say we have to notify the press. It doesn't say anything. It says that the press asks us, we let them know what the agenda is. We send it to them without them asking. We sent it to these 984 people, and I think I saw it on another Facebook page that some other citizens got out there and saw it on that. So I know it was out there. And in fact, we have more people at that meeting than we do in a typical council meeting. And I also want to add that according to that meeting that we had before that, December the 1st, Councilman Walker brought it up at that meeting that he wanted on the next agenda, which it was. The next agenda was December 4th. I mentioned it at that meeting, and it's in the minutes right here, that I brought up at that meeting, that it may be at a meeting sooner than that, because it might be at a called meeting. So,
Wait a minute, say it again, please. Councilman Walker asked for what now? To be on the next agenda.
yeah, if you asked for it to be on the next agenda.
And did it happen?
For that too. Yeah.
Did it happen?
The next agenda was December 4th.
No, it wasn't. You said it was a special call meeting. That wasn't the next agenda. The next agenda was this meeting.
No, you didn't ask for it to be on the next regular meeting. You said the next agenda.
Right, and it didn't get on.
It was on the December 4th.
What was on there?
We had on there the stuff about the attorney. We hired an attorney that night. On these minutes that we just read, I'm trying to find page 3. Mr. Walker asked that this item be placed on the council's next agenda, which it was, December 4th, that was the next agenda. Mayor King added that a special meeting may be called to address this item prior to the council next meeting, which I did. So public was notified that night that we may be having. So I think we went well on board, and like I said, we've got 16 agendas here from December 4th all the way back to the day you were sworn in. And only one of those used the regular agenda that is in our ordinance book at the time.
Okay, so
all the other ones used a very abbreviated, some of them very much more abbreviated than what we use today. Call to order, new business, presentation by citizens, executive session, and the ones even before that were nothing but call to order, new business, and adjournment. So
Those were emergency meetings.
no, they were special call meetings. That's all I.
But we had emergencies.
Well, you should have an emergency of some sort to call a special call meeting to
Well,
resolve that.
I
But
agree.
anyway, I'm just saying, all these meetings here. So, what we can do is I will make a motion that the approval to rescind all actions taken during the special meeting on 12/4, and, this is my amendment, and all special called meetings from December the 4th back until May of 2004.
When was the town founded?
1870.
Yeah, go back to 1870.
Well, I don't know what all those look like. I'm just going back to the day that Councilman Walker was sworn in.
I
So
would
we're
cover
taking
it,
care of
I'd cover it to 1870.
Wait, Hardy, what was the?
Approval to rescind all actions taken during the special meeting on 12/4/15, and all special meetings dated December the 4th, 2015 through May 2004. That's my motion. Is there a second?
I second.
The motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? Next.
I have, well, you gonna vote on that first?
Nope. I'm going to, well.
You have to vote on the amendment.
Yes, we vote on that amendment. All in favor of amending it to those dates, do so with show of hands.
I want to go to 1870.
And all opposed?
You should go back to 1870.
All right, so that amendment passes. Now I want to make another amendment.
Well, wait a minute. I want to discuss the
Okay.
original discussion.
All right.
You know, it says, and again, the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act 30-4-80, subsection D says, all public notices must include but not be limited to posting a copy of the notice at the principal office of the public body holding the meeting, or if no such office exists,
which it does,
at the building in which the meeting is to be held. Okay, that is not what we did. We did not follow that rule. And we did not follow the order of the agenda item as per section 2-64 of our town code. Now, I know it says a little book and you just ignore it every so often, but the bottom line is that, you know, you have to follow rules all the time or none of the times. And if you want to go back and look at ordinances, every ordinance that we ever passed, that's fine. You don't do that. And Councilman Pouliot, you said you want to find out the clarity of this thing. The book is right in your possession. You have the clarity right there in front of you, sir. That's what the ordinance says. But if you choose not to follow our ordinances and disregard the South Carolina Freedom of Information ordinances, then that's fine. Let's do what we need to do.
I think we are following it. We did make a mistake. We ratified it. Or we clarified that tonight by changing that ordinance.
So you admit we made a mistake.
I think it's very evident that we voted 15 times, you've inserted and me too, to do it improper. Yes, I agree we had. That's why we changed it.
So that's why the meeting was invalid then.
Well, you can take it to a
Well,
court.
we just ratified it. We just ratified it.
Yeah. And right now, I'm going to make an approval, amendment to this, approval to ratify, instead of rescind, ratify all actions taken during the special call meeting on December the 4th, 15th, and all special meetings December the 4th, 15th through May of 2004. That's my, another amendment is to change rescind to ratify. Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor? Of Julius Waite. All in favor then of the amendment to change rescind to ratify, do so with show of hands. All opposed? All right, so now what we have is the amended approval to ratify all actions taken during the special meeting on 12/4/15 and all special meetings December the 4th, 2015 through May 2004.
I so move.
And, well, we've already got the first approval, so that's still there. So, you know, all in favor then? The amended to say rescind all those meetings. Do so with show of hands. All opposed?
I'm really confused.
Okay.
You did the motion to
Yeah, Barry
rescind
Walker made the
from,
motion, Kathy seconded.
okay,
Then we amended it
right,
to add those dates. We
Okay.
voted on that, 4-1. Then I made another motion to change rescind to ratify,
right,
and that passed 4-1.
right.
And then we just voted on it, and that passed.
The
4-1.
vote
Yeah, 4-1.
on approval.
To ratify, right?
Yeah, to
Why, we
ratify.
voted on the ratification.
Hmm?
You voted 4-1 though to ratify it.
Yeah.
The amendment.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're doing the vote.
Yeah. All right. Next item on the agenda, for anybody that's still here, and it looks like there is, presentation by citizens. This is where anyone who would like to address Irmo Town Council on anything, regardless of whether it's on the agenda or not, may do so at this time. All we ask is you give us your name and address for the record. Seeing none, no executive session. Next item is adjournment. Is there a motion for adjournment? Excuse me for a minute. Motion and a second. All in favor of adjourning, do so show of hands. And hope everyone has a Merry Christmas, since we will not be meeting in January. Merry Christmas.